telling me that they see tonight's speech from the VP as a continuation. Telling me that they see tonight's speech from the VP as a continuation.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. We are about, I don't know, a couple minutes away from Donald Trump coming on live. It's supposed to be a news conference. Last time I did this was about the stupid trading cards and I was severely disappointed. That was back in, around this time last year, back in October. So, yeah, you know, hopefully this is not a, I don't know, a Ronco food dehydrator with Donald Trump's name on it or something, but he's got a little presser that he's doing, which is good. Hopefully it addresses his lead that has taken place in Arizona, as Arizona has flipped to Trump's favor, which is good. It's leaning right now, which is where it should be. That's a good thing to see. And we're also seeing some rumblings, some things that I gave you some information on last night in regards to Oregon, Virginia, New Hampshire, which I've called for almost a year, signs of possibly going red. So we'll talk about that with the election. We've got a lot to do. Right now, there's a biscuit talking on Fox. I don't know who she is, but she should come back a lot. Yenny's here. She's sleeping. And she's doing well. So we'll see you guys and gals in about 3 minutes on the other side of this. Thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. Let's get into it. That I hear most often, that I always try to help people connect the dots, is what is past is prologue. And although Shakespeare, not my favorite, it's an interesting thing when you look at 1980 and the crack epidemic and what the United States government was involved in with the Contras.
No kidding.
So I don't understand why people are so shocked and they call Roseanne a conspiracy theorist. Because there's evidence in the past of the government getting involved in this, and there's plenty of books on this, and you can read this.
Hey, you know, here's what I think. I love your show, by the way, Matt Spear, and
Thank you,
watched you. Just discovered you about a week ago,
ma'am.
Oh my God, this guy's a genius. The facts he can spew.
God, I love you.
You can spew fact, and that's the sign of a genius.
Thank you, ma'am.
So I appreciate you asking me that.
So you just made my life.
I do remember back when they were bringing the crack cocaine into the black neighborhoods, and that proved that the CIA was doing it because they were grooming that population, and they've been
adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show, 10:10. Was supposed to be on at 10. I apologize, but the Trump, it's Trump. When's he ever on time? I hope everyone's doing well. Good night last night. Good show. Had a fun time. I always love Leroy and Amy. They're so fun. It was yesterday's birthday was Kristen. Today it's Santana. So Santana, happy birthday. Also Tommy Cawthorn. Good guy. He's always on the show. His birthday was yesterday, and I hit him up in live a little bit late, and a lot of times it's really hard to find the comments in live because we get a ton of comments. So happy birthday to Tommy Cawthorn. We'll make sure that we're going, folks. If you have not had a chance, make sure to share, like, and subscribe. The morning thing is kind of new. People are like, this has to be a pre-record show or last night's show. I assure you that this is live. Donald Trump is going to be talking. Hi, Michelle. Excuse me. Hi, Karen. Steve says, I love Roseanne. Yeah, me too. She is an interesting person and has a ton of knowledge, and her presentation style. I got to witness it yesterday, and you see her in the celebrity, and you're kind of like, she's over the top. A lot of people find me over the top, so there's nothing wrong with that. According to some people, I'm off-putting. I don't care. But Roseanne, she comes off as, with respect, just kind of how she did the national anthem so many years ago, just, grabbing her crotch and Hak Tui. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, you know what? That's horrible. I'm like, yeah, but you see it every 5 seconds when you're watching baseball back then. People were, chawing and, doing roids and eating sunflower seeds and spitting all over themselves. I mean, gross, and that's what she was, doing, and be like, oh, it's disrespectful. Now, her singing of the anthem, listen, you booked Roseanne to sing the national anthem. That would be like, I don't know, have you booking me to do a sermon. It's just not a good idea. There's going to be a few words dropped that you're not going to like. So I like her. And I'll be honest with you, I never watched Roseanne, the TV show. And I really never really had the opportunity. My uncle and aunt and the Raymonds on my family, they loved Roseanne. I mean, they lived by it. But I watched Alf and the Cosby Show and Family Ties, and I just didn't get into Roseanne, not because of any other reason than I just didn't. So my time watching Roseanne and learning about her has really kind of been after the Band-Aid is ripped off and she's kind of become, self-aware and awake. And I don't know, I find her refreshing. I find her, I don't agree with everything she says, and I don't have to. And that's the whole premise of who I am. And she doesn't agree with everything I say. But there's just this admiration. Everyone says that she's like America's mom. And Leroy said that last night. And you know what? That's the way it felt. She felt like a mom last night. She's just talking and she's making everyone feel comfortable, and she's smoking a cigarette, and then she lays down on the couch sideways because, why not? Who gives a crap? She doesn't have any airs. And I don't know, man. I love that. I think she is a free spirit, a unique soul. And I hope since she watches the show and likes the show that she stops on by and has a conversation. Now, the one thing I'm worried about is with Roseanne is that she monopolizes a lot of air, and so do I. So it might have to be me, taking a back seat and deferring to her, because it was great when I was bringing up the point in that interview yesterday or the roundtable and I started talking about crack in the 1980s, and I had the list in my head. I was going to talk about the Contra. I was going to talk about how the criminal justice system used crack as a stepping stone for maximum sentencing, and really set the neighborhoods back decades, and almost put them back into a sense of not in the days of slavery, but very similar to the Egyptians and the pharaohs, how they removed writing and reading, and illiteracy skyrocketed. Family values stopped. They stopped communicating and remembering the tales of old when they had risen up in rebellion before. And I think it numbed the African American people's senses very similarly to the Egyptians and the pharaohs, is that they would give them a form of hashish and narcotic, and a gum to chew, a root that was highly addictive, nicotine substances, and it really dulled and numbed their senses. And this is what crack cocaine did for the African American community. So I had this long, just litany of shit to talk about, and then she's like, "No kidding," and I'm like, well, Roseanne's going to take this one. I'm just going to sit back and listen, and that's not something I do. Like, when I talk, it's my turn to talk, and I'm going to talk, and hell or high water, I'm going to get what I want out. And if I have to, escalate or elevate, I'll do that. And if we got to get combative, I'll do that. I'm going to show you a video of that on CNN with Mehdi Hassan that happened that I'll point out, and the reason I bring that up. But there are plenty of times in a boardroom or executive meeting I've had to stop and not get confrontational. But with her, it was natural. It's just like, oh, mom's talking, I better shut up. She's going to say something profound, which she did. And she went on for, a minute or so. And you saw me in the video, if you watched yesterday, I'm like, go for it. I was done. I'm like, good for you. I thought it was great. I really like her. And I was really impressed with Laura Trump. Or not, gosh darn it. Why do I keep calling her Laura Trump? Son of a bitch. Laura Logan. It was so stupid. I don't know why. I never do that. Anyway, I want to call her Trump. She has a similar look to Laura Trump. And isn't it Laura Trump? I don't know. Laura, Andrea, I can't do that stuff. You get one name, okay? And the fact that I even remember your name is an important thing. So, Laura Logan, in the veteran community, she's kind of extremely well respected. And the things that she went through, I think a lot of people who were deployed saw from the civilian populations that we were involved with, whether it was from a liberation standpoint or running operational security or hunting bad guys. You see women go through incredibly horrific and tumultuous things, and you empathize. You can't sympathize because it's just not there. You don't know what it's like, so you try to be empathetic to the situation. And with Laura Logan and what she went through, it hits home at a point of where, it hits American Pie and Chevys and the red, white, and blue. I mean, it doesn't matter where she's from when you're out there and you're representing someone we know from home, and someone who speaks to people on a national level. There's a level of sisterly protection that goes along with that, and I think a lot of vets feel that towards her, even if they get her name wrong 3 times. But I've argued, she doesn't know this because she doesn't even know I exist. But there was a couple times, when she did the video on the Baltimore Bridge and her opinion of what happened, and I combated it. And I was like, I disagree with her vehemently. Here's what I'm hearing. Here are my sources. Here's my intelligence on this and my analysis. And I still disagree with her on it. But it doesn't mean that I don't find her extremely valuable and intelligent. So when I had a chance to listen to her yesterday, I was just in awe. And just so freaking smart and so put together. And she really acts and briefs like an intelligence specialist. And her presentation style and her understanding of the facts and her ability to, I saw her sizing people up on the round table and listening to them intently. And not listening to talk, but listening to understand. So when she did speak, it was articulate and on point. So it was just a really interesting roundtable. Some very cool people there, an amalgamation of society, from an NFL football player to mothers who've lost children to fentanyl, to people who are who are fighting and working every single day to bring awareness to the lives lost. And then, of course, Jason with the fentanyl test and really taking this to a level of trying to save as many lives as possible. It was just a very cool thing. So if you haven't had a chance to see it, go over to Facebook. It's over there, and it's also on wimkin.com. You can find it. That was a long intro. I apologize, but was definitely a cool experience yesterday. Loads of fun. If you haven't had a chance to see, we have a goal. Goal is $200 this morning. I know it says tonight, but whatever. I'll have to start doing AM and PM goals. We've hit it for 18 days in a row 6 months ago. Facebook has decided to remove all of our monetization from our live videos. There were no strikes. I'm in great standing. I've got green across the board. There was a reel supposedly that they said I didn't add enough content to, and they gave me a permanent ban on my reel. That went on for 2 years. It came off. The next day it came back on. I don't know why. My stars have never been turned on Facebook. I can create a 5-person account today, right now, have 5 people follow me, and I can have stars on my live show. I've never been able to have stars. We're ready to hit 200,000, and Facebook has completely just flatlined us. So we started donations, and since then, people have just absolutely just been awesome. 6 months in a row, we've hit our donation goal. We are 18 days in a row of hitting our goal, and we would certainly appreciate it if you have the opportunity. Don't stretch yourself. Don't hurt yourself. Put yourself in a situation that you got your vacation paid for, Christmas is looking good, house payments done, you've donated to your local veterans group, and now you're like, you know what? We want to help out the DUM show. We watch it every day. It's a great show, or it's the first time here. You now can do that. Go to thedumshow.com/donate. You can't give stars, which is good because they take like 80% of those. But you can go to thedumshow.com and you can donate to PayPal, to Venmo, or by P.O. Box, and we certainly would appreciate it. If you can't do that, just hit like, hit share, hit subscribe, follow. It's not about money. If you can, great. If you can't, we will be taken care of. That's the great thing about the dummies and Dumb Nation. All right, let's get to this. Looks like we're broadcasting 5x5. Twitter is good. If you wouldn't mind, do me a favor, share on Twitter. Melanie, if you're listening, do your magic. Let's get Twitter going and get it pumped up. People don't know I'm on. This is only my second day in the AM. So Donald Trump's going to come on Fox News. I don't think he's there yet. Let me go see. It always says, soon, Donald Trump, but that doesn't mean a darn thing. Looking at this, let's see if he's on. Oh, come on. Why is it so hard just to go live? Oh, Fubo. Fubo, when it first came out, was superior in every single way. It was amazing. They have really fucked it up. Pardon my French. It is just not the quality that it used to be. No Donald Trump as of right now, saying that he's going to deliver remarks soon. Let's do this. Let's start off with Bill Hemmer, who I love Bill Hemmer. I think the guy is just awesome. A lot of people don't like him. I think he's got that polish, that Peter Jennings had and Brokaw, and no matter what you think about Brokaw and Jennings now, obviously I think Jennings passed. I don't know. Maybe Tom Brokaw did too. I don't follow legacy media, but I loved how they would present, and they would have this almost Cary Grant, Tony Curtis, old school mannerisms. I think Bill Hemmer has that. He's got flash. He's smart. He's temperate. He has no problem with communicating at a high level, mid level, or he can get down in the gutter. You can hear when he's losing his patience. I love his banter with Dana Perino. He's not afraid to be a complete gentleman, but also be a tad sexist here and there. He's very competitive. This morning it was kind of funny between the two of them, is they've had this banter going on about, it's 6 days and a sleep. And she's like, it's like 6 nights and a sleep or whatever. And he's like, you're saying it wrong. And then a Marine came in and was like, no, Bill's got it right. And he kind of hit her with it this morning. And you could tell Dana wasn't really having it, because Dana's not a slouch either. That woman can bring water. for sure, and carry it and dump it all over you. But he could read the room, and he could recognize, okay, I gotta pull back a little bit. I love their relationship. He's a smart guy. Anyway, let's listen to Bill Hemmer here, because this is a really good analysis. He asks a lot of questions when it comes to the election, and he doesn't really make statements of this is the way it's going to be. So I'll kind of add any of that for you. But he's really strong. He knows the numbers. He understands the districts. There are times when I learned some things from him, and I love the elections. I love breaking down and placing all the districts within the state and breaking them down by color and looking at the trends and looking at the demographics. I've always just loved that as like Lego building blocks. That's what it was for me. He does a good job. Let's listen to what he has to say here, just so you guys can get an idea of what's going on.
And this is how we see it shaping up, okay? We believe Republicans get control with 51 seats for Republicans, and the 51 might...
And this is what I told you last night. And I've been saying this for quite a while, that we will have the Senate. You know, I've been doing this since I know we're going to listen to Bill Hemmer, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. I've been doing this since I was a little kid, about 6 years old. I love politics. And I remember the Reagan 1980, like at 6. I remember 84. I mean, I remember every election, and I would, you know, look at something and I'd be like, oh, you know, I think this is going to happen here, or I think this is going to happen there. And I would bomb horribly, you know, like I'm like, Ross Perot is going to crush it. And, you know, I was a wide-eyed kid without a lot of experience in the world. But since then, my track record has gotten better. And, you know, 2020 was a very successful call for us. 2022 was unbelievably successful. Like I don't think there's a race we got wrong. And we were pushing up against the media hard. Whether it be Herschel Walker or Kerry Lake or Majewski or Mohammed Oz or Stacey Abrams or Kemp or whatever it was, we were making some really good analysis. And I hope you guys join us for election night, because we're going to do the same. But this is what I was thinking. There were obviously a few toss-ups when it comes to the Senate, but this is indicative of what I anticipated, that it will be a minor majority lead. But honestly, some of the numbers that I'm seeing is that may be a little conservative. Let's watch what Bill says here, and we can kind of compare notes.
Might be the floor, as you're going to see in a moment here. Everything in yellow, all the blue wall, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio, we believe they are still toss-ups. So what we have seen in the last 2 weeks, tightening races in Pennsylvania, tightening races in Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin as well. So where does that leave us? This is what we believe, okay? We think right now, like maybe the forecasts are not necessarily going the way we expect. For Dems to have a good night, they would maintain the majority of 51, okay, on the Senate side. For Republicans to have a good night, when you consider the states that I just ticked off there, 55 would be a really good night for the GOP, and we'll see whether or not they can get to those numbers, right? Now, why is it changing? What are we seeing out there? We have moved a lot of our upper Midwest states from lean Democrat, like Michigan, to a toss-up. Lean Democrat in Pennsylvania to a toss-up.
This is huge. This is huge. I don't think you understand how big this is, because national polling is dog shit in every way and every facet. And Karl Rove does a lot of his polling off of national, and it's why he's always wrong. It's why a lot of them are wrong, because they believe that the more numbers you have, the more prestigious the poll is. And that is not true in any way, shape, or form, because a poll is a snapshot in time. It's not necessarily a reality that sticks. So when you are doing a poll and you're calling everybody, you're actually calling for the previous week's numbers. So the news cycle has been very favorable for Trump, minus the Puerto Rico thing. I don't think that's going to have very many legs. People have been growing up with Mexican and black jokes and white jokes, and you know, we may not openly express them anymore, but trust me, at the dinner table or with Grandpa coming over or Uncle Fred, racist jokes are still definitely a thing. And you know what? I hope they always will be, because I think this is complete dog shit. Who cares, right? Nobody cares. Nobody's voting for Trump because he didn't deliver a politically correct joke. In fact, he wasn't even there. Who gives a shit? But anyway, and these are the people, honestly, if you really want to look at this, who support the liberals and the Democrat side, from Triumph the Insult Comic Dog to half of the comedians out there, Steve Hofstetter and guys like this who are just clutching their pearls right now, who have said shit 100 times worse than what that comedian did. And now they're just like, oh my God, this is so bad. And, you know, they're just such clowns. But overall, it's a fairly strong news cycle for Trump. It's going to be interesting what he says this morning. A lot of people are wondering what he's going to say. Would it be an apology for the rally? I hope it's not. I think that would be a big mistake. Just let this thing die. The news cycle will take care of itself. But you're seeing a shift from the local level, which is an extremely accurate thing. Most of these polls, if you look at the Senate races and state legislature, usually go the way the polls say. To see that they are moving to a toss-up from a Senate and a down ticket perspective will show you that the top of the ticket will also follow suit. People know what they're going to get. And this is a very good sign for Trump to see. I mean, this makes her shit her pants. And this is what I told you last night. This is what I've told you for a month. It's what I've told you for like 6 months, is Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin are most assuredly in play. And then also I've added that to New Hampshire is also in play. I believe that very, very, very likely and could go to Donald Trump. These are great signs for that blue wall is completely falling apart. And we hope that some of the signs that we've seen in Texas aren't trending, but this is what they do every year. They always say Texas is going to go purple. Even Ted Cruz in the biggest off year in 2016, when he challenged Donald Trump at the convention and did not give him a full-throated endorsement, they punished him during his primary for a reason in 2018. And the reason why Trump supporters did that was to send Cruz a message. We're not going to vote for Beto O'Rourke, but we're going to make this close, and a lot of us are going to stay home. And it hurt Cruz. He learned his lesson, and that's why he's been lockstep with Trump ever since. I imagine that he pulls out this race. But the point is that not only are you seeing Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, I told you last night that New Mexico was showing some softening, that Oregon was showing softening. And those are Democratic strongholds. I mean, you guys don't understand. These are huge Democratic strongholds. New Mexico falling would be incredible. That shows a lower southwest quadrant of a wall that you can then anticipate California being up for grabs within the next 2 to 3 elections. That's how serious it is when you start seeing these states, these border states to California. It's very similar to Texas. So if you started seeing Louisiana, you started seeing Georgia and Arkansas start to move to a toss-up or a blue, you would have to question Texas. This is why Texas looks firm. But with California, you're seeing a softening around the surrounding states, especially Oregon, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada also in play. This is very, very good for Donald Trump. And this is where I've been trying to reinforce your thought process. Get out, vote early, vote now, make a copy of it, and don't stop and keep your foot on the gas, because if the numbers are looking good, that's not when you step off the gas. It's when you push it down completely.
To a toss-up. Lean Democrat in Wisconsin to a toss-up. We've also taken that Senate race in Nebraska and moved it slightly toward the Democratic column, just a bit here, from likely Republican to lean Republican. So the shade changes a little bit on the screen right here. So that's the power rankings. That's the way we...
Nebraska is not going blue. The softening that you're seeing there has to do with the Senate races and the down ticket races tightening. This has happened in Nebraska. You've seen a lot of matriculation in the counties. We have a couple people who are from Nebraska. You're seeing conflict between the reservations and some of the administration currently in place. You're getting the rumor mill is a lot of these guys are kind of neocon rhinos who are not really Republican. So you're seeing a lot of dissension in Nebraska, but it's going to slight pink. In no way, shape, or form is it going blue. It's not as dramatic as becoming a toss-up state. I mean, that's ridiculous. 3 toss-ups, Kamala's got to be shitting her pants.
See whether or not in a week, whether or not that's correct. John Thune, Senate Republican whip out of South Dakota with Dana and me now. And sir, good morning to you. Thanks for coming back. What's right? What's wrong about the analysis here today?
Well, good morning, Bill. Good morning, Dana. I think your analysis is spot on. We're traveling. I'm in these states. I was in Ohio yesterday, Wisconsin today. We'll be in Michigan and Pennsylvania early next week before the Tuesday election. And what our candidates are trying to do here in these Rust Belt states is work with President Trump to tear down that blue wall. These races have all tightened. Our candidates are on message. They're talking about pocketbook issues that the...
So when you see the Senate move this way, like I said, it's troubling for Kamala. A good friend of mine, Mike, reached out to me. His name is a pseudonym. It's not real, obviously. Mike Wazowski, which is from Monsters, Inc., but he changed his real name so he could participate and people wouldn't know who he is. And that's fine. I love the guy. He's an amazing dude. And he's been with us for 4 years. And ever he was there, he was my very first, not my first follow, but he was one of my first, people who he was here during election night of 2020. So he's fantastic. But what coffee blend am I drinking? Moab. I'm No. Where the hell's my Moab? I'm drinking Moab. I don't know. Moab. Anyway, Moab coffee. It's fantastic. But anyway, so Mike reached out to me and he's like, dude, why the hell is Trump going to Virginia and New Mexico? Because these down ticket races are extremely vulnerable. And they're softening in Virginia. Abortion was the number one topic in 2020 and 2022. It's not necessarily the number one topic here. People are feeling the property taxes. They're feeling the overall increase in food and groceries out here. Virginia is already one of the most expensive states to live in. We live in the most expensive county in the United States, in Ashburn. It is Loudoun County. It's unbelievably expensive here. But we do this because it's the best educational system and it's the safest city in America. We live in like the best place to live in the United States. And the reason why we do that is because my kids deserve it. And we've had to bust our ass to get here. Even when we have a no donation day, it's one of those mornings where we've got quite a few people not on because they don't know we're on. But you still plug and you still move forward and you still do what it takes to make your family successful, even during hard times. But Virginians are getting sick and tired of it. We're getting tired of it. So that's it. So why is he going to New Mexico? Because there is a softening in New Mexico. There's a lot of tribal issues out there. A lot of the Democrat promises that they've made to the African-American community and Hispanic community has also been to the Native American community, which is not going well. A lot of the crime, I'm sorry, my nose, I have allergies. And the outside of my nose feels like I don't know, it itches. So a lot of the border crimes that you've seen going into Arizona and California also happen in New Mexico. A lot of people don't understand. New Mexico is right there against El Paso, and you go down south into Tucumcari and other places inside New Mexico. It's heavily Native American, and they are seeing a lot of smuggling, drugs coming in. Methamphetamines are a huge problem in New Mexico. Fentanyl's also coming into New Mexico. And you're seeing kidnappings and sex trafficking being a huge problem. A lot of this crime that you're seeing in Albuquerque is bleeding over into Santa Fe, which the uppity elites in Santa Fe don't like that. So New Mexico is starting to know what everybody learns about democratic cities. They're shitholes. They may not be floating aisles of garbage like Puerto Rico, but they're close. And, so people are getting kind of tired of that. So you're seeing a lot of these states. Oregon is also, because they're in the same boat. They're sick of the crime. They're sick of the high rent. They're sick of all these kids coming in and these liberal kids, just destroying their cities. So you're seeing a shift that Democrat policies are dog shit and people are sick and tired of it. Now, the interesting thing is that a lot of these people have left and fled, and the remnants of what's left over, because these people have moved to Virginia, they've moved to Texas, they're looking for a better quality of life in red states, and they bring their shit here, And then those states that were blue ultimately turned back to be red again. And this is the constant ebb and flow that you see from places like West Virginia and Mississippi and Louisiana. The southern areas get hurricanes, and that sets them back. But what they see is an influx of people because of cheap property, ultimately bringing in bad policy, change the demographic generationally to liberal, and then they start seeing the downtrodden economy. They see the crime. They see the super cities created, and then these people flee, and then they move into another place, and then those red, conservatives take over, fix it, and then the process happens again. This is why West Virginia, this is why Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana can never get a foot up. Is that they're always in this influx of people trying to fight cheap property versus the downtrodden liberal policies that always follow. This is why you saw Georgia, flirt with blue from 2020 and 2022, and now is moving discernibly red. This is why you saw Arizona flirt with blue, and it's now moving to red. Nevada, it looks like it's going to do the same thing. This is the ebb and flow of people mass migrating from the coast and leaving into the center of America. And then after 7-8 years, leaving and going back to California. When things start to slow down, the property values decrease to a normal level, jobs start coming in abundance, and they go back and ruin it yet again. This is the ebb and flow of America. Unfortunately, a lot of the Midwestern and Rust Belt states take the brunt of this. And you're seeing this in Nebraska. You're seeing this in Oklahoma, a softening of red. Here comes the blue, and then eventually it'll go back red. Anyway, that's where we're at with that. Let's take a look and see if Trump has shown up yet.
Make my life better.
Guy would be late to his own
device
funeral.
on Monday. Yeah.
In the right amount.
North Carolina, Georgia, historic.
Prevagen.
It's been a while, honestly, since I've hit Trump, so I'm going to hit him. I am tired of people saying, oh, well, he's the president of the United States or he's busy. Bullshit. Follow a schedule. You're not a doctor. This whole 3-hour late shit, it's got to stop. If you cannot be on time, then you need to find who's managing your schedule and fire them and find somebody, get a military person who understands, who has 3 wristwatches, who has no problem keeping you on time. The fact that you had to cut Dan Bongino short is a horrible thing. Horrible thing to do. Not a good idea. But even the fact that we're sitting at 10:42 and he may be on somewhere else, but not on here is a travesty. People keep saying RSBN, and I don't care about RSBN. Why should I have to go to YouTube to watch Donald Trump speak? Doesn't make any sense. Let's see if he's on right now.
So we're in the final stretch.
So he was supposed to go to a podium, right? This is an ad, so we'll let this play. He's still not there. Yeah, I'm not going to go to the Right Side Broadcasting. There's no reason. Fox will carry it. I don't like all the ads and shit. I just want to watch him. Amy says maybe he's watching your show. Yeah, but to me, you've got to be punctual, and go read Art of the Deal. And there's some practices that he's getting into, which is making people wait. I think it's a shitty thing to do. And I would appreciate it if that in the last few days, and he doesn't have to listen to me. What do I know? I'm just a podcaster. But he should be on time. Because there's people who are tuning in and they're like, oh, they'll wait for him. He's the president. You know what? My time's important. I will not wait for him. I'm not going to stop something because he can't manage his schedule. So I understand mistakes happen. I understand planes get delayed or weather. This isn't one of those things. You're 45 minutes late to a conference where you're going to be talking in front of millions of people that are waiting to hear you. You should probably be on. Fox is now saying 11. Well, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not gonna I'm not going to wait for that. You know, if I'm ready to go and I'm still talking at 11, then yeah, but I'm not going to make a special trip. This is my feedback to him, is that he's got to figure out how to be a little more punctual. He was 3 hours late. That's right, to his rally this weekend. I think making people wait who have already been waiting for you, in some cases 24 hours, it's a shitty thing to do. So my feedback is, you know, fix it. You know, don't stop booking so many events, because all you're doing is disappointing people. Yeah, I get a downvote for that. Give me a break. How dare you ask that Donald? How dare you? You should be so excited that he's late. Give me a break. Show up. Be on time. You're a fucking businessman. How are you going to run the country when you can't even run your own schedule? So my feedback to him is Midwesterners don't like this. You know, people in these states don't appreciate people who are late. We like people who show up on time. We like a firm handshake. We like people to keep their word. And if you're going to say you're going to be there at 10 o'clock, you be there at 10 o'clock. Come hell or high water. And that's it. I've harped on it. Those are my feelings. Whether you agree or disagree, it doesn't really matter. I appreciate your opinion and respect it. But they should have him be on time. It's a bad look. You know what I mean? It's just an unforced error that he doesn't need to do. He doesn't need to be late. That's all. Good. Thank you. I appreciate you guys backing me up on that. It's not personal. It just says he was an hour and a half late to the Pennsylvania people, and the crowd was chanting, "We want Trump." Yeah. Well, yeah. They've waited. They've earned the right. They've waited for him for, like, okay, like Amy and I are thinking about going down to a rally. I'm not going to wait there 3 hours for him. In fact, I'll come on and I'll say, we were here for Donald Trump. He's 2.5 hours late. We're leaving. I left. Governor Youngkin was 2 hours late to his rally. I fucking left. I just left. And I went online and I said, Governor Youngkin, I'm still voting for him, but I think it's really shitty that he made vets wait. And I wasn't happy. I'm not a Karen. I'll sit there for hours. But, you know, Benny Johnson's on right now. He's got 125,000 people. You know, I've got 30. Feels really good. He's got 125,000 people that are waiting. And that's on Benny. You know what I mean? Like Bongino was left holding the bag. I mean, if I'm a podcaster, right? And Donald Trump wants to come on my podcast, which he doesn't, and he probably never will. But if he did, I would wait for him for a day. I'd wait for him for a week, because I need him more than he needs me. Bongino, Benny Johnson, Joe Rogan, they don't need Donald Trump. They are very successful without him. So, you know, it's kind of like my thing. Joe Rogan posted today, and I haven't said a word to Joe Rogan, but I decided to leave him a message. And he said, hey, Kamala Harris is saying that she can only talk to me for an hour and I have to fly to her. What do you guys think I should do? And of course, that's probably not Joe Rogan posting that. So it's his media person. So I just replied, Joe, you're not legacy media. That's a legacy media move. Stand firm and make her come to you. Joe Rogan doesn't need Kamala Harris to be successful. They've all been successful without them. So if I'm a small-time podcaster, I need to wait on. I'm going to wait for the president, right? I'm going to be calm and I'm going to be patient and I'm going to wait, and I'm not going to book a live with Donald Trump during election season. I'm going to do a recorded. And what I may do is when he's here, say, you know, Mr. President, are you okay with me for 20 minutes turning us on live and surprising some of our viewers? That's a great idea. What you don't do is book a show around Donald Trump right now, because you're not going to go on during a time that makes sense. So what did I do here? I made that mistake. I booked it. I put it in the notes. I shouldn't have. Rookie mistake. Luckily, the damage will be small for me. But Benny's got 125,000 people on, and he's holding the bag. That's a lot of people. Steven Crowder's waiting. He's got 35,000. Jerry Callahan is waiting with 7,000 people. Terrace Servadius, whatever the fuck her name is. Love her name though, but I can't say it. She has 1,000 people waiting. We've got 23. So it just, you know, Tara and I will probably wait on the president, but Steven Crowder and Benny Johnson, don't have to. And can I just say, I give Benny a lot of shit, but the fact that he is outpacing Steven Crowder, Benny's he's doing well. I mean, I got to give the guy credit. His method works. I don't necessarily love everything about it, but he's very successful. But anyway, waiting in line for Donald Trump probably is not people's favorite thing to do. So we will wait, as we should, being young and maturing through the process of podcasts. But I think there should be a little bit more accountability when it comes to his schedule. So just saying, it wasn't this bad in 2016. It wasn't this bad in 2020. Something to think about. We'll go into this. So this is really interesting. There was a roundtable. Now, this is Mehdi Hassan. And let me just tell you, Mehdi Hassan is a bully dick. And if he wants to come on my show, which he won't, but if he does, I'm more than happy to entertain him, because he is of the mindset that it's Jews versus Palestinians. And anyone who disagrees with him is in full totality supporting Jews and everything that they do. What he wants you to do is admit that Palestinians and Jews have treated each other the same, in the level that Jews have killed more Palestinians, but there are atrocities on both sides. And the problem I have with most people is that they will not admit that. And he reminds me of a very good friend of mine, a Palestinian friend of mine, who no longer is a friend because he's a douche plow. But his name's Claude Samori, and we used to sell TVs together. And Claude was all about Palestinians and Palestine and their claim to Jerusalem. And I simply had my relationship with Jews. Now, he didn't know anything about my history. But when we started talking about it, he got very upset. And he said, you know what? You're white. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And little did he know that I spent time in Israel, that I worked with the IDF and I worked with Mossad in intelligence. And I didn't tell him that because I'm listening to him. This is the way Mehdi Hassan, or whatever the fuck his name is. This is the way he is he believes he's the only one who understands the trials and tribulations of Palestine, and that no person who supports the Jews or Israel could possibly fathom the indignity and the devastation that these people have experienced. And I will sit there with him and say, yes, the Jews have given as good as they've gotten. The Jews have killed innocent as much as Palestinians have killed innocent. Yes, this is true. That probably would set him back, because his entire argument would end, because the next evolution in that conversation is, but why? And where are the Palestinians coming from in them prosecuting their holy war versus the Jews, and versus the Jews defending themselves against that attack? The question is, who started it first? And that is not the right way to look at this. You can't do a tit for tat, because you'll never break that down to that denominator. What you have to look at is, look at the purposeful attacks, look at the way that they were perpetrated, and ask yourself the question, is one antagonizing the other into these overall devastating and horrific events? And the answer to your question is, most assuredly, there is one side who does that more than the other. Now, Jews overreact, but Jews wouldn't react if Palestinians / Hamas would not constantly try to antagonize them into war. The one thing that Mehdi, whatever Hassan will never tell you is, let's just take October 7th. Who was responsible? Now, he's going to go ahead and talk to you about September 12th. And he's going to say, well, what did the Jews do here? Okay. October 7th was planned for more than 2 years. You saw 75,000 work permits given to Palestinians to bring them into Israel. They literally took schematics, photos, collected intelligence on the weak spots, and they developed a strategy, all the while receiving copper pipes for retrofitting hospitals and villages for water that they used for missile systems. They stole food, they stole help from the UN, the Red Cross, and all humanitarian groups. They then used these weapon systems to murder 1,800 and injure 1,300 and injure over, 2,700 Jews. All of this, you can't go ahead and say, yeah, but in 17 blah, 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 or 1600 or 336. It comes down to the individual event. What was happening? Jews were talking to Saudi Arabia, and they were brokering peace in the Middle East. 4 major Arab countries had settled peace deals with the Jews. The Abraham Accords under Trump were working. You saw a unification of the Middle East, first time ever that the largest, United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Jordan, these countries were settling with Israel. Saudi Arabia was one step away from settling a peace deal that literally would have targeted the entire Middle East against Iran, and Iran would have had to come to the table. They would have turned the tables on this constant fighting that's been taking place, these religious holy wars, the jihad that has been taking place in the Middle East. What did they do? They didn't do it because Israel attacked on September 12th and killed people. They didn't do it because of 1940. They didn't do it because Gaza. They didn't do it because of the Golan Heights. They didn't do it for any of these reasons. They did it to stop a peace deal between Saudi Arabia and Israel, knowing that it would change the face of the Middle East. So he can sit here and he can wax, sympathetic and all this other bullshit. This was designed to continue war against Israel and to make them the most hated country in the Middle East, which was stopping. He can say whatever he wants. He could go ahead and cry all he wants, and he does incessantly. Since he was fired from his job, because he's a complete shitbag, he is now continuing as a guest on CNN, and he's making his rounds. There's a reason why he hasn't been hired back full time. There's a reason why he doesn't have a major show. He's argumentative, and he's overall just a dick. He doesn't see anyone else's point, and he's very much like Cenk Uyghur. Now, he went on Piers Morgan. He did the same thing, completely dismissive, complete attitude towards anyone who disagrees with him. He, right before here, calls this guy a Nazi and says the adage that's been going on. If you don't want to be called a Nazi, don't act like a Nazi. Can you imagine if somebody said, you don't want to be called a Igor, don't act like an Igor? That's with an N in front of it, by the way. Can you imagine what would be said? But you can sit there and look at a man and say, don't be a Nazi. And that's okay. And then the guy responds, which, you know what? I think it's funny as hell. Funny as hell. Everyone knows that Mehdi Hassan does not have a pager. Everyone knows that he's not Hamas. Everyone knows that Mossad is not going to target him, no matter how much of a dick he is. Yet he has the right for this moral indignation to stand up here and be magnanimous and be like, how dare you say that I'm going to be blown up? You want me to die? You want me to kill me? Oh, it kind of sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger a little bit. But give me a break. Listen to this exchange, and this is what has become of a disagreement, an argument, a debate in this country. It's bullshit.
If you don't want to be called Nazis, stop doing.
You're called an anti-Semite more than anyone else at this table. Yeah. And people will sit there and no, by me, I never called you an anti-Semite. Okay. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians, so I'm used to it.
Yeah. I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is that
you just say I should die.
Oh, God, clutch your pearls, you fucking Karen. You just called someone a Nazi. Okay? What should happen? Let's go through the lineage of Nazis, okay? The rise of the Nazi regime stemmed from World War I. An Austrian postal boy decides to go ahead and work on his public speaking skills and be extremely attractive to old school German ties to country and lore and belief in the unification of Germany, and starts espousing things that certain people and certain politicians are against these, brings them together and decides to go ahead and find a common enemy, the common cause of the failure in the Versailles Treaty and World War I, which would have been the people who were in power, controlled the banks, controlled the government, which were the Jews. So goes ahead and says, well, I can't have that unfettered power. I'm not going to be elected into power. I will not have the ability for totalitarian control unless I eliminate the Jews, because they'll never have it. So what do? We create a conversation around that the Jewish population is the reason. And we slowly start off with subliminal messaging. We use Goebbels tactics and we start putting it in the cartoons. We start going ahead and going into the local areas and painting their buildings with gold stars. We tell them that this is who they are. They killed Christ. They'll betray us. And we start this whole narrative about this Christian nationalism, that somehow that in any way, shape, or form that Adolf Hitler was a Christian, for God's sakes, and then use these extravagant claims of what will happen if we remove the Jews and ostracize them from German society, that we will be a better Germany, a solid Germany. And that's what takes place. Now, there is the height of German power. Blitzkrieg into France, while the Western forces of Europe are up north, focused on the wrong area. France has taken it in a day. They own Paris. One of the greatest military tactics, 72-hour blitzes ever in world history. And at the height of German power, okay? All of a sudden, we have to take this little man seriously, even though we put him at the small kids' table at Thanksgiving with Japan, and you have Adolf Hitler is born. That is the height of being a Nazi. Now, then what do? Well, it's not enough to go ahead and just remove Jews, because now you have people like philanthropists, you've got scientists, you have teachers, poets, musicians, who are all starting to speak out against the Nazi tyrannical rule. So now you have to round those people up. Then you put them in a camp. Then you go ahead and decide, well, we don't have enough food. We don't have enough everything for them. Let's go ahead and just slowly starve them to death. Well, that's not going as fast as we want. Well, let's go ahead and start forming some experiments. Let's throw some gas at them. Let's go ahead and take them into the showers. Railway carts. Intestinal diseases are not good enough. Maggoty bread isn't killing them. Moldy meats aren't killing them. Putrid water's not killing them. So let's go ahead and just start incinerating and gassing them. The mid-low point for Nazis, right? The people who loved killing Jews are like, well, that was pretty good for them too. But that we're starting to drop off the moral high ground of being a Nazi. Now let's go posthumous from World War II, and let's go into the military tribunals. Let's go into the Nuremberg trials. Let's go into the confiscation of Buenos Aires and exfilling Nazis from their hiding places and hanging them and killing them and putting them on trial and punitively, retroactively delving out justice of epic proportions. That is the legacy of Nazis. If you're a Nazi, you're going to go on trial and you're going to be put to death. That is the legacy of the Nazis. Unless you were a scientist and then the United States is going to bring you over, make you an American citizen, give you a life of luxury as you help build a nuke. But I digress. When you call someone a Nazi, not only inherently does all that other bullshit that I just went ahead and spewed get attached to you, but you also deserve to die. Okay? You deserve to die, because that's what happened to the Nazis. Just like when you go ahead and you make a slight-handed comment that was meant just to be a jab right back at you, saying if you have a pager and you're a Palestinian, what he meant was Hamas or Hezbollah, but it was closer for him to say, I support Palestine, when we know what he's saying. I support Hamas, Hezbollah, JIB, the Muslim Brotherhood, the IRGC, etc., terrorism. He's saying, I hope you don't have a pager. He is saying the exact same thing you did, but it's just raw, and it's at the table, and it's too soon. When you call someone a Nazi, you're saying you should die. When you say you should have a pager because you support Palestine, it's that you're Hamas and Hezbollah and you should also die. What's good for the fucking Arab should be good for the, I don't know what he is. So give me a fucking break. Your virtue signaling is tired. You're looking to be a victim. And anytime you want to come on my show, you fucking asshole, I will bounce you off the fucking planet.
You should not.
No,
Did you just say I should be killed?
No, I did not say that. I said, no, I did not say that.
Hold on.
Did your guest just say I should be killed on live TV?
I said I hope
Guys,
you don't.
let me just stop.
You said you hope my beeper doesn't go off.
Because you said I'm a big supporter
of the Palestinians.
You don't even have a beeper. You bloody blank. You don't even, you have a beeper? What do you have, a Motorola? What is it? You have a Motorola? Give me a break. You don't even have a beeper. What are you talking about, dude? He said something stupid. You know what? Honestly, it was a clapback. You know what you should have done? You should have laughed and said, "Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good." I don't have a beeper. I don't have a pager, but that's funny. It was funny. You know what? Leave him alone. I called him a Nazi. He went ahead and got me back. It was funny. That's what I would have said. I would have been like, "God, that was pretty good, dude. That's good. It's funny." Funny. But just because I support Palestine doesn't mean I support terrorists. So are you admitting now that you're a Nazi since you reacted and elevated and decided to trade tit for tat? Are you a Nazi? But see, that's the stupid thing. He's not a Nazi. And Mehdi Hasan is not a terrorist. Mehdi Hasan's an asshole. There's a difference.
Guys, let me
said
stop.
Palestinians.
Are you?
Am I what? No, of course I'm not.
Then I apologize.
Are you a racist, violent person inside?
Oh, you a racist. Palestinians a race now. Hamas is a race. Who are you? I'm a Hezbollian. I'm a Hamasian. I'm a Hamashasian. It's not a fucking race. It's an ideology, dipshit. Your entire ideology is the eradication of infidels. That certainly is an ideology. It's certainly not one based in theology. Can you name something besides something from the Aztec or Mayan or the Incan or the Omegan period, which was actually focused on the complete genocidal, sacrificial destruction of an entire society? Can you tell me what religion that would be? Maybe the Mormons? What are you talking about, dude? He's got resting, I took a shit face. I can't stand this fucking guy. I can't. He reminds me of Cenk Uyghur 5 years ago. Like Cenk Uyghur, I still don't like, but you know what? He's totally calmed down, right? Like Cenk is getting older. He's got a family, I think. Yeah. He's chilling out, you know, and most people do. I've chilled out. My first 4 years, oh my gosh, you think I cuss now? You should have seen me. But for Mehdi Hasan, he's angry. He's angry. He's so freaking mad. And he doesn't know how to deal with his anger.
Ryan,
That's disgusting.
that is completely.
No, I apologize.
That
Good job,
is
CNN.
completely
Let's have first
out
block
of
say the
pocket.
Muslim guy
You
should
know
be
that.
blown
I
up
apologize.
on
I
TV.
apologize.
Don't
I
say
apologize.
then I
apologize.
apologize. You
Don't
literally.
apologize.
I thought he said
accused
Hamas.
him.
I
You didn't think I said
No,
Hamas.
no,
I
you
said I
didn't.
supported
Yes, I did.
Palestinian
Yes, I
rights.
did.
Why? Because when you hear
What's funny is Rudy Giuliani.
See, okay. Can I give you guys a hint? Cenk is a twat waffle. But he's not as bad as Mehdi Hasan. He's Mehdi Hasan 5 years ago. Cenk is not as bad. Cenk's a big blubbering baby. Cenk is one of those people that actually care if his candidate wins. Like if Donald Trump doesn't win, you know what I'm going to do? Fuck, that really sucks. Okay, time to go to work. That's it. I don't treat politicians like sports teams. What I do is I adapt. And when I go, okay, Donald Trump's going to be in, does that mean my life changes and everything's going to be fine? No, we still got World War III to look at. We still have the border to fix. We still have inflation to fix. We still have housing prices. We have the Fed. We have a corrupt government. We have political action committees. None of it. No. Donald Trump being elected I'm not going to, oh, thank God we're fine. No. You know what I'm going to say? We got a lot of work to do. And if Kamala Harris gets elected, you know what I'm going to say? Shit. Not only do we have all the work to fix what we fixed, we're going to have to go ahead and re-break it and fix it again in 4 years. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, God, why? Why did Donald Trump lose? Donald Trump lost because he made some very poor choices in his election. Or if Donald Trump wins, Kamala Harris made some very poor choices in her election. It's very simple. We'll break it down and I'll tell you why one of them lost. But I'm not gonna commit Harry Carey or commit seppuku live on the show. I'm just going to be like, this fucking sucks. I don't understand how they elected Kamala Harris. This is the dumbest thing. America, you hold on. 4 years, we'll be here to cover you. Or if Donald Trump wins, great. I think this is a good start for America. Now we can move forward with it. We can start tackling some issues in a conservative fashion, and we can knock out one large problem at a time. And, you know, I'm hopeful, but I'm not holding my breath. Let's see. I'm going to hold him accountable like I held Joe Biden accountable. Let's rock and roll. Let's make it happen. That's going to be my reaction. But, you know... you see Cenk Uyghur like this. Sorry, that depicts violence. I'm sure Facebook will flag that. But the point is I'm not going to commit harry-carry or seppuku or, you know, disembowel myself live on TV just because my candidate loses. But this is my advice. First of all, that is the least diverse table I've ever seen in my life. They need a little more diversity. Second, when you are swimming with piranha, self-cutting is not advised. Self-cutting is not advised. Because all you're doing is bloodletting the water. And when you apologize, you know what I would have said? Oh, Mehdi, take a joke. You say shit worse than that. You said something worse than that 5 seconds ago when you called me a Nazi. Give me a break. This is what you do. You go around and you whip out your dick and you slap people upside the head. And then when they punch you in the face, you're like, what did I do? What happened? What did I do? What did I do to you? Oh, my God. And you just play this righteous bullshit that somehow you're the victim. You live for this. You know what? You got a hard on when he said that because you're like, I'm going to clip it. I'm going to stick it on Twitter. And I promise you it's going to get millions of, oh, you know what? You know what? Let's just put this to bed. You know what? We'll come back to this. Mehdi Hassan. Let me see if I'm right. I haven't even been to his page. Let me show you if I know that. Do I know this douche plow? Let me see. Oh, fuck. It's number 1. All right, let's go to his page. If I can even find it. So many people are just lusting after this. How do you spell his damn name? Yeah, this shows you that I don't troll this guy because I just don't. It should be easier to find his page, don't you think? That's not him. How many Mehdi Hassans are there? Seriously, get a blue check mark, you dick. Makes it easier. Am I spelling his name right? Hold on. MEHDIHASSAN. I'm spelling it right. Did he block me? Oh, there's no doubt. This guy blocked me. I think he blocked me. Because I should be able to find him, you know? Let's do hashtag Mehdi. Ah, there he is. Twat. Did he clip it? Did he clip it? Oh my God, maybe he didn't clip it. Maybe he actually is. I could be wrong. I'm going to have to back it up. I'm going to have to back up. He didn't clip it? No, this is impossible. No, I can't be wrong. He did clip Piers Morgan. Of course he did. Maybe everyone else clipped it but him. Here, let me do this. I can't be wrong on this. I can't have misjudged this guy. I just can't. I can't. Mehdi Hassan, what did he say? Beeper? Okay, let's see. I'm wrong. Oh, wait a second. Here it is. There it is. Sorry. There it is. Okay. I was like, I'm losing my touch. I'm feeling a little bit bad. that I made a mistake. I feel much better now. CNN statement: there is zero room for racism or bigotry at CNN or on our air. We aim to foster a thoughtful conversation where you're called a Nazi and debate, including between people who profoundly disagree with each other, in order to explore important issues and promote mutual understanding. But we will not allow guests to demean for the line of civility to be crossed. Ryan Gerdusky will not be welcome back on our network. Why is Mehdi Hassan? He said it when he just called people Nazis. Why is he allowed?
Hey, I'm sure everyone has seen what happened on the show tonight. I just wanted...
Nothing happened. Nothing fucking happened. Listen, this is why women shouldn't be involved. Nothing happened.
Sure
Two men acted like men. Hold on. Two men just acted like men. What happened? What happened? Did Mehdi Hassan break his vagina? Is that what happened? He got his vagina broke for a pager that he does not have, for not being Hezbollah or Hamas? Is that what took place? Oh, the horror. Whatever will he do? He certainly clipped it, though.
And on the show tonight, I just wanted to address one quick thing.
It's never quick with you fucking women. It's just, this isn't about me being, yes, it is. No, it's not. Liberals. It's not about women. But you know it's not going to be a quick thing. You know this is going to go on forever. They're going to milk this forever.
You may have seen Ryan was asked to leave the show, and we have put out a statement saying that he's not welcome back on our air. There is a line here on this program, and it was crossed. But I want to be clear as well that we did not ask Mehdi.
Are you from a middle-class family?
To not come back. In fact, we really wanted him to.
Why do you want him to come back? He called him a Nazi. So you want the guy who calls a person a Nazi to come back, but you don't want the guy that goes, well, I hope you don't get your pager beeped. I'm sorry. It's funny. Come on. What, you people are such fucking panty wastes. How are you ever going to survive the zombie apocalypse, the imminent zombie apocalypse that's coming? Come on. When did we become such pussies? When did the world become just victims? I want to be clear, like Crystal, besides the fact that I'm from a middle-class family, is that Mehdi Hassan is most assuredly back because we like people who hate Jews. But people who don't like terrorists, they're totally not welcome here. What the fuck?
Come back and finish the show. We had a lot to talk to him about.
Oh, so much.
We really
But we fired him. But we fired him. But we have so much to talk about. We know mass media fired him because his show ratings sucked and nobody watched him. But we really want to hear what he has to say by not giving him a platform. We care. We care so much, but we fired him for being an anti-Semitic cock. But we want to hear what he has to say. So important. So important to hear what he has to say. Because now he's a victim.
Again soon, but for those of you who are wondering why he did not come back, I just want to be super clear that
he's a pussy. That's why. He's a pussy. That's why he didn't come back. Because the man is a giant... Right here. Right here. Dude, thing Ben said is, oh man, you know what? I haven't had a pager since, I don't know, your dad was a drug dealer. I don't. They're not going to blow me up, man. I'm good. Something. I don't know, but not, oh, you're going to blow me up, huh? You want me to die as a Muslim man? As a Muslim? Give me a break, dude. I am a Muslim, man. I am a Kurd. I'm a Shiite. I'm a Muslim. You want to kill a Muslim man? An Arab man? No, dude, I just want to fucking kill terrorists. And it was funny. And I thought since you called me a Nazi, we were in a relationship where I could go ahead and call you a towelhead. What's the problem? Who cares? It was funny. It was good. And you're just pissed off because he clapped back better than you did. But the guy, whatever his face was, Tony, you shouldn't have apologized. You know what I would have said? Oh, come on, tough it up, Mehdi. You say shit 10 times worse on Twitter. You know what, CNN, you don't want me back? Fine. So I don't get my $500 check for this episode. Woe is me. I'll try to find another revenue stream. Maybe I'll sell goats to his father.
Not.
That would have been another good joke, right? You're definitely not coming back after you say that.
Not in any way, because we didn't want him back at all. And I won't speak for him, but I just wanted to make sure that you all knew that was.
So here's the message, folks. If you're a man and you say something stupid, which wasn't stupid, it was actually quite clever. If you say something and you apologize, your apology will not be accepted. He apologized right after he said it. What do you want from him? Do you want him literally to rip open his chest and carve a red letter A on his chest? Carve CNN across his chest, right? Or maybe cut out the ISIS flag or Al-Qaeda symbology? Some ancient Cyrillic, would that do for you? Maybe a pound of flesh? What do you want? He apologized. He said on air, he literally took his penis, he self-masticated, cut it off, had a vagina in its place, completely just like emasculated himself online, and said he was sorry, and it's still not good enough? What do you want from him? To pay reparations? Did you want him to break out his wallet and be like, here you go, dude, here's $20. Here's your 40 acres and a mule. I'm so sorry. What do you want from him? Mehdi Hassan was asking for it. He called him a Nazi. Okay, you call me a Nazi? Fuck you. I hope you get blown up by your pager. Both are equally stupid. Both are equally bad, but that was what they were doing. They're men. But women got to get involved. You know what I would have said? This is a guy thing. We're not going to get involved. At CNN, we don't appreciate either of your languages. You both, honestly, should go reflect and get off the stage, because the testosterone here is ridiculous. The testosterone, it's too much. So you're both off my stage. Get off my set. That's what if you were really offended, that's what you should have done. Or you should have just done what most women do and be like, you boys are ridiculous. Us women are going to have a conversation and ignore us. But instead, what did you do? You had to project your femininity into the conversation. We don't give a fuck. I'm going to defend both guys. Just let them be men. If they want to stand up on the desk and pee all over the place, okay, then you can get upset. Until then, just let them be men. Let them work it out. You guys talk amongst each other. You backstab each other. You insult how fat your asses are to each other, and then you take your man's credit card and spend all our fucking money. This is how we do that. We argue. We complain. We disagree. We insult each other. This is what men do. Just let us be men. Is that better?
Not what happened.
So 56 seconds, and I can't get through the whole thing. Like every 5 seconds I have to stop because she's so fucking annoying. You are what's wrong with men in the world today. You want them to be women, and we don't want to be women. We don't want you to be men. There's a certain decorum that men and women treat each other. We get it. But you don't get to tell us who to be. You both are like mansplaining right now, and it's really making me uncomfortable. I don't give a shit, sister. You invited me on here. This is the way. If someone calls me a Nazi, I'm going to defend myself. He has every right to defend himself. Okay, I've had enough. I'm getting my blood pressure up. Can't stand these people. So stupid. So stupid. All right, let me put these in here. I just realized I'm like, we're sitting at 0 tips, and I can't keep doing this because it looks really bad. And we've had people who have been kind, and they're probably waiting to get their names in the lights. So I got to do this. And no, I don't have Olivia here, so I can't have her do it. So Christine, thank you so much for helping out the Don't Unfriend this morning. $10.80. Thank you. Oh, I got my bill from Arcadia Publishing. Oh my God, that's a lot of money. Wow. The Documents of Freedom books, folks, they are available if you don't know, because Arcadia just gave this to me. And we need to go ahead and make it happen. Let me put this in real quick. Bam, bam, bam. And bam, bam, bam. Thank you. Miss Bobby Richardson, who always helps out the show. We appreciate you, along with Christine. Thank you for donations. By the way, the Documents of Freedom, folks, they are for sale. We have a beautiful wooden box, but we also have the leatherette edition back, which has all 3 of the Document of Freedom books back. It's got the Constitution of the United States, it's got the Bill of Rights, and it has the Declaration of Independence. In leatherette book edition, they are small, they are beautiful, they are all 100% printed with the pictures of the founders inside. It has highlighted portions, it has revisions of the Declaration, the Constitution, and Bill of Rights, including drafts. It's all in a leatherette box, and it's on sale right now. We have that at thedumshow.com. We also have it in wood, which is made by PFC Flag Company, which are our brothers and sisters over at PFC that do it in wood. It's all engraved. It is a beautiful matte finish. It fits all 3 books, and you can display it like this in your library, which looks really cool, or from the front as a centerpiece. Documents of Freedom is for sale. Please get them before Christmas, folks. They're available right now. We are shipping them out in the next couple days, and then our last shipment will be for Christmas. So if you haven't had a chance, please go do that. If you also have not had a chance, please donate to the Don't Unfriend Me show, like Bobby and Christine just did at thedumshow.com. It is not wimkin.com/thedumshow. I'm not sure why that's up there. Hold on, music.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show.
That's probably a big reason why we didn't have all the donations we were looking for, because people were trying to donate over on Wimkin and probably saying, I have no idea how to do that. 1 second. Is Donald Trump speaking yet? All right, there it is. Trump is talking right now. Thank God. Let's get it. And there he is. I'll rewind.
Again, we were there at the Harris is underwater in Michigan, so she.
My guess is they're sick of it. Wayne County, Detroit.
I think so.
Yeah, thanks, Alexa.
So far as of yesterday.
A toss-up, so that interviewed 2 women from.
Well, it's a huge Donald Trump in Michigan.
Reporter who blazed the trail
Or plan to.
Some of them
Save an extra.
has been
in story to this.
Beat other Republicans that George H.W. Bush got. That's how much inroads Republicans are making into the Jewish community, and I expect Trump will do even more because of the Biden-Harris handling of.
It's a very big, powerful party with smart.
I'd advise them not to do this. I just think the news conference.
Seriously.
The White House before, days like this are big.
Yeah, they're big, and if he takes questions, it's going to be really interesting to me to see if every question is. I'd advise them not to do this. I just think the news conference, when the press is in one of their artificial feeding frenzies about what a comedian said in New York, is just going to keep that story alive. You want Trump talking about what Trump should be talking about, and I think a news conference, if he takes Q's and A's, is risky.
Okay, let's find out what Trump will talk about. The nation's 45th president, Donald Trump, at Mar-a-Lago, a news conference. It's live. Let's watch.
Such great spirit. I want to start by saying it's going very well. There are some bad spots in Pennsylvania where some serious things have been caught or in the process of being caught, but the election itself is going very well. We're leading, I believe, in all 7 swing states. So I appreciate everybody's work, and the spirit is unbelievable. I don't think there's ever been anything like it in our country's history, frankly, because we want to see our country get better. And that's why we're here, just to do a statement. And it's an honor to have some of our friends here. In less than 4 years, Kamala Harris has obliterated our borders, obliterated. We've never had a situation like this. Decimated the middle class, and runaway inflation has caused problems, the likes of which we never thought possible. Bloodshed, squalor to our cities is common, and they've unleashed a war and chaos all over the world. You take a look, everything's blowing up or getting ready to blow up. No respect for our country anymore, no respect for our leadership. No person has caused so much destruction and death at home and abroad should ever be allowed to be the President of the United States. Can't have that. Can't have that. So I'm running on a plan to save America. We're going to save America. We have no choice. It's the greatest there is. We love it, and we're going to save it. We have no choice. And it's going to be saving it from the incredible.
Thank you, Thomas. Appreciate the tip. Thank you, everyone who's donated. Means the world. Keeps us going and free. We appreciate it.
Destruction that's been caused by crooked Joe Biden and Kamala. And she's responsible because he wasn't responsible, and she never said that. He didn't know too much about what was happening. Maybe that was exposed during the debate. And yet still the way they took that away from him was not right. It wasn't right. Shouldn't have happened that way. They walked in, they said, we're taking it away. They stole the presidency of the United States. You can call it a coup, you can call it whatever, but they stole it. They went in like taking candy from a baby, and can't have that. And she's running on a campaign of demoralization and really a campaign of destruction. But really, perhaps more than anything else, it's a campaign of hate. It's a campaign of absolute hate. And, you know, I said yesterday that she's a vessel, and she is a vessel. It's a very big, powerful party with smart people. I have to be smart. But it's vicious. They're vicious, and they're perhaps even trying to destroy our country. Because who would want open borders where millions of people can flow in from prisons and from gangs, the worst gang members anywhere in the world? Who would want this for our country? Who would want all of these transgender operations all over the place, like at will? Even if you're in detention, I want a transgender. These are things she stood for. Who wants to defund the police? She's wanted her whole career to defund the police. She only changed recently. She changed on 15 different items. Fracking. She was against fracking at the highest level.
Thomas, I know we're trying to listen to Donald Trump say things that he's been saying for months, but cheddar cheese, salami omelet with bacon and coffee, very similar. I have a 8-egg white omelet with 1 whole egg mixed in, Tabasco, salt and pepper, with a piece of turkey slice, with low-fat cheese, just shredded cheese. It's fantastic stuff. With a half of an avocado and some salsa, with 3 pieces of toast with some natural strawberry preserves. Every morning. I've had the same breakfast for 8 years. Yep. So, black coffee. Always black coffee. Just thought I'd let you know.
At the highest level. Wouldn't even think about it. Now all of a sudden, I'd like fracking very much. But they change after the election in about 2 minutes, and I think Pennsylvania understands that. After 2 assassination attempts in just over 3 months, her lies and her slanders are very shameful and really inexcusable. And I can say that if I were president and somebody was being threatened, openly threatened like they've threatened me, I would say, if you do that, even if this was an opponent who I disliked, if you do that, we will obliterate your entire country, and it would all stop. But they wouldn't make that statement. They won't make that statement. And essentially, that statement has been made by other presidents, even concerning their opponents, as you know. Today we're going to talk about the real character of Kamala, and a person who has no remorse for the anguish she's inflicted upon families all across America. On the contrary, I have to tell you, Kamala intends to conflict and keep this misery going, and she's going to keep it going as long as she can, because that's the only way she can get elected. She's going out and only criticizing, talking about Hitler and Nazi, and because her record's horrible.
There you go.
Her borders are the worst in the history of the world.
There you go.
There's never been a border in the world like this. I always say in third world countries, banana republics, they'd fight them away with sticks and stones if they had to. We let them come in. Come on in. Knowing
he needs to address the Nazi and Hitler bullshit. It's time. Everyone hears it. Just fucking address it. Just put it to bed. Say how all you need to do is litigate the case. You know, Kamala, I'm going to ask for you if you want to call me a Nazi, if you want to call me Hitler, that's your choice. But can you please stop disrespecting all the German Americans in Pennsylvania who've had to live with this shame for almost a century? Can you please stop? There's people in Pennsylvania, a huge German population. Can you please stop disrespecting the people in Florida? The Jewish Americans who celebrate their faith, who love Israel, who love our country. We understand what happened in the Holocaust. We understand how serious it was. We understand how devastating it's been for Jews, for Germans, for Europe. Everyone was affected by this. People in Poland. Americans don't use travesties like this to gain one up on a political opponent. You can say whatever you want about me. I can take it. I'll take it for the American people. But the American people are just a little tired of you maligning the Republican Party, a party who freed the slaves, a party who believes in small government, a party who wants to protect the unborn, a party who does not want to get into world wars, a party who believes that a border is an important thing, that economy is good for all, that the middle class drive economic success for this country. This is what we believe. We do not believe in the eradication of a group of people based upon their religion. We don't segment and make people feel small for what they believe in religiously, unlike some parties. We don't use racial division or hire people based upon their skin color or their ethnic background or their religious beliefs or their sexual disposition. That's not what we do here. If you want to do that, that's fine. But I believe Americans are tired of you trivializing the Holocaust and 11 million lives that are lost by maligning the Republican Party, the grand old party, the party of Lincoln, with Nazis. Grow up and fucking walk off the stage. She would be cooked. Toast. Cooked. Let's see if he does it.
Knowing in many cases they're murderers, they're drug lords, they're traitors in so many ways to our country. If they were involved in our country at all, even that, they're coming back in. People that left because they were traitors are coming back in. Everybody's coming back in. And it's at a level that we've never seen before. Criminals off the streets. And you know, other countries from where they're coming are now setting records, good records for them, where crime is down 70 and 75% because they're taking the criminals off the street. They're emptying their jails into our country. And they're not finished yet. I'm amazed. I thought they would have done it by now, but if you take a look at Venezuela, their crime is way, way, way down. Then you go to Caracas and you wouldn't recognize it. You can actually walk the streets without being shot or killed or mugged. It's becoming a safe city because they've taken all their criminals, most of them, the rest are coming. They're all coming. They've taken their drug dealers and they've put them into the United States of America. Thank you very much, Kamala. I appreciate it. But she continues and she will continue this misery, and her policies have caused such harm and such pain. And the three great people up here with me are going to just discuss that for a little while about what's happened to them, how their lives have been shattered. I'd like to begin with the story of one mother whose life Kamala has utterly destroyed this life. And we're talking about thousands of people in very similar situations every day under Kamala, open border policies. And if you remember, Joe Biden appointed her as the border czar. She doesn't want to use that term, but let's say we'll just use a different term. She was responsible for the borders, totally responsible. She never made one call to Border Patrol. 2 weeks ago, the Border Patrol endorsed me with the most beautiful endorsement I think I've ever gotten. And in all fairness, they've endorsed me every single year, but they've endorsed me again, and they endorsing me, saying I was the best president we've ever had and the best president by far on the border. They said that, and this is not easy for them to say, they said that she was easily the worst person ever to work with them on the border, most incompetent.
Oh, I recognize those moms. Uh-oh. Ooh, Kamala, this one's going to look good. Wait till you hear this.
Least caring. Think of it. Not one call in almost 4 years was made to Border Patrol. Like, how are we doing? I used to call all the time. I'd say, how are we doing, fellas? How's it going? Is it going well? And they're great people. Men and women, Border Patrol, great people. They want to do their job. She didn't call them once. She released the two men who murdered this woman's very precious daughter. Everything you need to know about what happened and the character of Kamala Harris, you'll know from just watching this video. We had it done yesterday. It's very, very quick, very easy to do, but it was very heartbreaking. We showed it in a room full of people, and everybody was crying. Some pretty tough people were crying. Please take a look.
Sunday night, I asked her to not stay up super late because of her coming to work with me in the morning to do her summer school. She said, okay. I told her good night and I love you. I went to bed, not realizing that that was going to be the last time I saw her.
We're best friends. Yeah.
We're going to shake it again. I woke up to notice she wasn't in her bed. I'm in my heart trying not to lose my mind because I don't know where she is. I finally remembered her phone had a location on, and her phone was pinging just 2 minutes down the road, right behind the skate park. I start driving to the direction the phone was being pinged at, and I see a couple cop cars with lights on. I see yellow tape, and immediately my heart drops and sinks to the bottom of my stomach. My daughter's hands and ankles were both bound. She was strangled to death, left with no pants. And I know in my heart, she fought incredibly hard. She was not going down without a fight.
We begin with two men we're learning are charged with capital murder tonight, accused of killing a 12-year-old girl.
Police say these men strangled her before dumping her into that creek. Both men were in the country illegally.
Apprehended, then released by Border Patrol less than 3 weeks before Jocelyn's death. The men accused of killing Jocelyn Nungare are affiliated with the gang known for brutal violence.
Kamala Harris was in charge of immigration in our borders. If we had better border policies and not open borders and not these catch and release policies, I truly believe this all could have been prevented. Under her being vice president of this country, my daughter's life was ripped away from her. She had her entire life ahead of her.
Happy birthday, dear Jocelyn.
My daughter is 6 feet in the ground based off of policies that she allowed to keep. Kamala Harris did have one job, and she She not only failed, not me, she failed my daughter. She failed Jocelyn. You know, she was only 12. President Trump reached out, gave me his sincerest condolences as not a former president, but just as a father, someone who cares. I believe Donald Trump needs to be back in office. I can at least know that my next child will be safe in this country.
Wow. Very moving there. The former president continues.
So I know we talk about inflation and the economy, but to me, there's nothing more important than the fabric of our country being destroyed by people placed there, violently placed there, as far as I'm concerned, foolishly, stupidly placed there. I think what's happening on the border is the single biggest issue, and I'm seeing it more and more when I speak. I see it more. The inflation is terrible. It's hurting our country. It's just decimating our seniors. That's why I talk about Social Security. No tax for our seniors on Social Security, because they've been decimated by inflation. But what Kamala did to Jocelyn and her family is the most heartless and cold-blooded betrayal imaginable. Thousands of cases just like that, thousands. In throwing open the border, think of it, open borders, they come in from parts unknown. People have no idea who they are, where they're from, anything about them. They know nothing. They just walk into our country. And as soon as I heard they were doing that, I said, well, I know these countries. I know every one of the leaders of all these different countries. They're very smart. They're very sharp. They're very streetwise. I said, I know what they're going to do. They're going to open up their jails and just dump them into the United States. And that's what happened. They opened up their jails. And some of the most ruthless killers in the world are now roaming our fields and our streets all over the United States. I knew that was going to happen. And I would do the same thing if I were running one of those many countries that we're talking about. And not just the 3 or 4 that we constantly mention that are near us, all over South America, all over the Middle East, all over Asia, all over Europe, all over Africa. Tremendous numbers of people are coming out of Africa, and they're coming from all over the world. They're dumping them at our border, pushing them across the line, and say, don't ever come back. If you come back, we're going to kill you. And we're stuck with them. But we're not going to be stuck with them for long. So Kamala violated her oath. She desecrated our laws, and she got innocent girls like Jocelyn tortured and killed. Anyone who knowingly sets loose these monsters into our country has absolutely no right to be running for office, let alone the office of president. No right. So here today is another great person, an American mom, Tammy Nobles. 2 years ago, Tammy's 20-year-old daughter, Kayla Hamilton, who had an autism diagnosis, was found raped, tied up and strangled to death with a telephone cord in her home. Kayla's murderer was an illegal alien, MS-13 gang member, among the most vicious gangs anywhere in the world. I took him out by the thousands, thanks to ICE. We're going to protect ICE. Kamala wanted to defund ICE. We didn't have ICE. We'd never get anybody out. They're tough and they're smart and they love our country. But an MS-13 gang member who was apprehended by Border Patrol, but under the policy of our border czar, KAMALA, he was released into the United States to kill. Tammy, please come up and say a few words, please. Thank you. Please.
I just wanted to say that Homeland Security did not do their job. Health and Human Services did not do their job. The Biden-Harris administration did not do their job. If they would have done their job, made that one phone call to El Salvador, my daughter would still be alive today. Kayla was a very beautiful young lady inside and out. She was independent, learning to become independent. She had 2 jobs. She overcame obstacles dealing with autism and was able to find a job that she loved. She loved animals, especially her cat Oreo, and she cared about the homeless. She loved God, and she loved going to church.
Glad the word's getting out. Jen Metzger, couldn't have said it better myself, and I've said it 100 times. Red down ballot. They get the House. Trump will be stonewalled. Everyone bring new voters early and red down ballot. The good news is, it looks like we're going to keep the House, and the Senate looks like a very good possibility too. I'll have projections on Election Day. We'll be coming on at 5 o'clock. I'll be giving you guys, once we're 7 days down and we get into Monday, I'll really start dialing into this and breaking it down for you. But Senate looks good. So does House. But you got to bring everybody. She's absolutely right. And I think that's the message. That's why these lines are so huge. Everyone's bringing 4 or 5 family members. Everyone, if you have an eligible person in your life who's 18 plus, who is eligible to vote, bring them and vote. Period. Plain and simple.
And she loved going to church. And her life was just ripped from her 3 days after she celebrated her 20th birthday. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you, Tammy. And we will not forget Kayla.
I don't think people understand. Like I said this on the show, the roundtable, the fentanyl roundtable with Roseanne and Laura Logan yesterday. And like the 2 biggest nightmares that I have. One is a personal nightmare that I have that's been replicating since the military, and I'll never be free of it. It'll be with me for the rest of my life. And I've tried to let it go. It's just not going to happen. And the second one is, in various ways, all horrific and all horrible, are the death of one, if not both, of my kids. And I believe it's a penance for being a father. And I can't stand the dreams. And every time I have them and I wake up in the cold sweat, my heart's going a million miles an hour. And I'm just discombobulated. And the room seems like it's closing in on me when I wake up. I can't stand that dream. And that dream hurts every time I have it. But it's one that keeps me focused. That the mission that I have is to get my kids to an age where they can defend themselves. And every day we get closer and closer. And I feel that we've turned a corner with my kids. I know my kids are smart. I know that they are resilient. I know they know how to defend themselves. I know that they are adamantly opposed to doing stupid stuff. There's a relationship we have where they confide in me and they tell me the worst things that I don't want to hear that they do. And I always, although there may be consequences to their actions, I always tell them how much I appreciate that they partner with me. And they even come up with their own sometimes and say, I did this. I have to tell you, because I feel like if I don't, I won't be able to function without it. I know I was wrong. I know I'm going to be punished, but I wanted to come to you before you found out. To me, that is the relationship we must have with our children. But this fear, it keeps me frosty. It keeps me engaged. It keeps me focused. That fight is not done. And there will come a time where I'll be able to, kind of lay down those arms. And although I will always protect my kids and I will always be their protector, there will come a time when someone else's job they will either become the protector or they will have somebody else to protect them. Until that day comes, those dreams are just a constant reminder of what could happen. And although I don't embrace them or enjoy them, they do serve a purpose. And I think we all have to remember the moment that we just let down 1 ounce of protection is an opportunity for evil to work its way in. And I can't possibly imagine what these parents are going through. To think that the last remaining moments of these kids' lives were calling for their dad or their mom and them not being there. The disappointment that they must feel. Like, I couldn't even imagine. I would eat a bullet. I couldn't survive. Knowing that my daughter was calling for me and I didn't show up. There's no way I would live. I wouldn't allow myself to live. I can't imagine how these women go on. I can't imagine their dads. And the funny thing is that you see the moms mainly. You don't see the dads, and the reason why is the dads are ashamed. They're carrying around so much shame and so much guilt for their failure. And even though it's not their fault, and even though it's not them, I can't imagine these dads. As much as that separation from a mother of having that child grow inside you and that connection, fathers, our job is to protect our families and protect our kids. And even at our most basic DNA and structure, it's our job. I couldn't even imagine. It's indescribable, and I'm not saying these fathers failed, but this is the mantle we would place upon ourselves, is that we did fail. And blame happens, and you can say, oh, it's not your fault, but that doesn't matter, because that's your child. And you're always going to reflect, what could I have done differently? How could I have done something better for my kid? Maybe I wouldn't let him out. Maybe 12 years old was too young. Maybe I should have done this. And you start second guessing yourself. But these poor dads, I think about it and I get so filled with rage. And it's not even happened to me. I can't even imagine what happens to these people. But that's what we need to do. And people can say that Donald Trump's doing this for political points. Bullshit. Donald Trump wants you to realize is that people are scared and people feel desperation. And the only reason you don't is because you have not put yourself in these people's shoes. And you may have defended Kamala or defended the border or loved Joe Biden, but this is the outcome of their policies, and they have to be held responsible. They have to be held culpable for their decisions. And the only reason that you would vote for them is because you have not thought about what it's like to be that mother. Truly, think about your own kid and what you would do and what you would feel. If you have not done that, then you have not done the due diligence as a citizen, as a patriot, and a person who's voting in this country.
Kamala's cruel and immoral actions on our border are actually disqualifying my...
Nanette, I didn't lose 2 kids. Oh my God. No, sorry. Nanette, I'm talking as I think about if I would have lost like these people did. No, me getting emotional is me just putting myself in these women's shoes and thinking about the father. That's what I was trying to say to you. And the emotion that I'm feeling is that I'm actually putting myself and thinking about my own kid. If I showed up to a skate park and I saw my daughter's phone, I can't even say the words. It messes with me so much. But that's what a cathartic story should create, is you putting yourself. This is why Star Wars has lived through the test of time, is because people imagine they're Luke Skywalker or Princess Leia or Han Solo. This is why Lord of the Rings and the books are so fantastic. This is why music, like The Jazz Singer or A Piece by Tchaikovsky, moves us, is because we imagine ourselves playing along with the music or having it impact our lives and our soul. These stories should have the same impact. These are human beings. These are real testaments to what happened to their family. And if you're a family person and you are a father or a mother, you owe it to yourself and your kid and these ladies who are carrying this ungodly weight to put yourself and immerse yourself into their story and at least maybe not relive what they've experienced, because that's impossible, but have a scintilla of thought of what it must feel like to be them and align with them. Because if you don't do that, then your humanality, your human traits are in jeopardy. Your consciousness, it needs work. Your soul needs repair. If you can't just align with what these people are going through if you're a parent.
She's unfit. She's an unfit person. And she knows this is going on. She never called anybody, including the 13 soldiers that were so needlessly killed in Afghanistan with that horrible moment in time where our country was just lost all respect from the whole world when they saw that. That's one of the reasons that Putin went in. He would have never gone in, ever. He wouldn't have gone in. If I were president, he would have never gone in. I ended his pipeline in Europe, no problem. And what happened? Biden comes in, he proves it right away, but he kills the Keystone Pipeline. Putin never would have come in. And he didn't, by the way, for 4 years. There was never a threat that he was going to do that. But he saw weakness, and I think a lot of it was seen in that horrible period of time. She is also aiding and abetting the cartels, allowing vast quantities of deadly drugs to pour unchecked into our country. And remember this, they now have an app. You call the app and you bring whatever you want, you bring them over, they'll tell you exactly. Can you believe it? They have an app. And they have airplanes, big, beautiful Boeing airplanes flying back and forth over our border. They were saying, where are those planes coming from? Where are they going? They were loaded up with migrants. They're dropping them out in the Midwest. They're dropping them all over the place. And I will tell you, if you look at Aurora in Colorado or in Springfield in Ohio, they dropped 32,000 illegal aliens. They tried to give them legal terminology, but it's not.
Thanks, Bobby. Have a good day.
Illegal aliens, 32,000 into a 50,000 person town. Beautiful town, no problems. And now they don't know what to do. And they want to be nice, and the mayor wants to be nice. His big thing is to get interpreters because they don't speak English. It's very hard to get interpreters. And he's trying to get interpreters, but in the meantime, they're taking up the hospital. So when people from Springfield would routinely be able to check with a doctor, go to a hospital, they're unable to get in, they're packed. The whole town has changed. And this is happening all over our country. Aurora probably is an even worse situation because you have the meanest, worst gang from Venezuela in the world, probably maybe as bad or worse than MS-13. And they've literally taken over the town. They've taken over large sections of the town. They've gone into the real estate business. They've taken over apartment complex. They took over a number of complexes where the people are paying them rent. They've become the landlord. Isn't that nice? And they're...
If you sit here and say, oh, well, it's not that bad. They've only done this in 3 or 4 places. Just listen to yourself. We saw this on the news on CNN and on MSNBC. Oh, he's exaggerating. They've only taken over 3 or 4 apartment buildings in the United States. Well, those 3 or 4 apartment buildings on average are 3 to 5 stories, especially in Colorado. The average apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado, 3 to 5 stories. Usually 10 units per floor. Anywhere from 4 to 6 people per unit. So let's just go say it's an MDU. It's 4 people. 40 people per floor. It's 120 families. Or 120 people in families that are in those apartment complexes. I have a feeling those people care. It's just ridiculous.
They're rough, tough people, and they have the latest weapons. They have military quality weapons, and everyone's saying, where did they get them? We got to get them out of here. We're going to get them out fast. We're going to get them out fast. So today, I'm announcing that for the first time under my administration, we will be seizing the assets of the criminal gangs and drug cartels.
Good.
And we will use those assets to create a compensation fund to provide restitution for the victims of migrant crime, and the government will help in the restoration. The government will help in the restitution, but something has to be done, and we're gonna get it done. Kamala has also caused untold misery through her destruction of our economy. Our economy is not. This is just. It's like a fake economy. Some of the best people on Wall Street are saying the economy is only good because they think, I don't want to say this.
Maria, sorry, gosh, can't even talk. Maria, I just want to say I saw the message. I didn't see it before, but my condolences to you. I want to make sure people don't think that I lost my children. I was saying I was putting myself in the parents' shoes, and I have a dream of that a nightmare that I lose my kids. And it's ever since I've had my children. It could be that my daughter just stopped breathing in a crib, and I would wake up to that dream, or my son was hit by a car, and it's so real. Those are my two biggest nightmares that I have. One of them very real, which is an experience in the military, and it's several, and the other isn't. But it's something that constantly plagues me, is thinking about the loss of my children. I don't know why. I know it's morbid. I know it's not a good thought, but I can't control that is my point. So I just wanted to make sure that wasn't confusing to people. Everyone sees my children every day.
It's only good because they think, I don't want to say this because other people have said it. That's not me saying it, but they think Trump is going to get elected. That's the only reason our economy is good. That's the only reason the stock market is up. Scott is here, I think, someplace, and he's one of the most respected people on Wall Street. He's actually made a very big point of it, that the stock market is only doing well because of the fact that they think Trump is going to win the election. So we'll see. But Kamala cast the deciding votes that caused the worst inflation in our lifetime, maybe the worst inflation we've ever had, because I don't think I know for a fact they're not adding all of the numbers. If they did, I think it's the worst inflation probably in the lifetime of the country. And it's costing typical American families over $30,000. Nearly half of Americans now say they're broke. Think of that. Half of Americans are saying they're broke. They have no money. 2/3 say they're living from paycheck to paycheck, and that's a record. We've never had that to that extent. We've never, ever had that. Millions of Americans are lying awake at night worried about how they'll pay their bills because Kamala wrecked their family finances, and she's done that. She's done nothing good. They have done nothing good. And I speak of Kamala, but it's partially Joe, but Joe's out of it. Joe's sort of out of it. She's been out of it for a long time. Now she wants to raise taxes for the typical family by $3,000 a year. She's got no empathy for the hardworking Americans whose dreams she's killed, and said recently that there is not one thing that she would do differently from Biden. That's only because she choked. I'm sure she could have come up with a couple of things if she really thought about it, because there's been so much destruction caused by the Biden administration. One of the things that people don't talk about, and the news never talks about, they don't talk about, as an example, Afghanistan, but this is something that's incredible, because when you think of the numbers, 325,000 children are missing, dead, sex slaves, or slaves. 325,000 children who came in through the open border are now missing. Many of them are dead, and nobody talks about it. I said, this must be a mistake. This can't be possible. When I read it, I said, this can't be. You're talking about take your largest stadium and fill it up many times. That's what the kind of numbers are. Here today is Michael Copy, a small business owner who runs a dry cleaner and is struggling to get by because of what Kamala has done to his business. They've destroyed small businesses in this country. Michael, please.
I just want to say thank you, Mr. President, for affording me the opportunity and the high honor of joining you here today and sharing my small business story with you folks and the American people. So it's a chain of eco-friendly dry cleaners throughout the Tri-County here in West Palm. And it seems not too long ago, just a few years, the customer and us, the small business owner, we were able to keep up with inflation. There were resources available to us for expansion, or if you had a bad month, if there was something you needed to make up for, it seemed like the support was there. And now, just a few short.
Evelyn says, will President Trump be able to use DOD 5210.56 signed into law by Biden to remove illegals? Yeah, there are. One thing doesn't have to do with the other. So he can remove illegals anytime he wants. His job is to enforce the borders of the United States, and he doesn't require deportation, any special laws to do so. Deportation is a standard practice for people who are not American citizens residing in the United States. It's just we have lost the moxie and the courage to do so. So no, 521056 is a document that gives law enforcement the right to solicit federal assistance with the military to use lethal force against citizens who are perpetuating lawlessness to a point where local government, city government, or state government will lose control based upon the actions of those people. It's a completely different thing. It doesn't apply to illegals in our country. Illegals are handled by a completely different set of laws, which ultimately are immigration laws in the United States. So the president has every right to deport illegal citizens in the United States for any reason. If you're illegal in this country, the president of the United States has the right. And if anyone feels that oh my gosh, that's so horrible, how can you do that? Well, ask Obama, who deported more people than any other presidency combined. Everyone thinks that Donald Trump deported a ton of illegals. It's absolutely a lie. Donald Trump, over his 4 years, deported less than 600,000 illegal immigrants. Joe Biden did that in his first year. If you take Joe Biden and you take Obama and you take their presidencies, the 12 years that they were presidents, they have deported more illegals than every other presidency combined. So, Democrats like to deport because they allow the border to be porous and they allow these crimes to go unpunished. And their answer is, once they're here, is to deport them if they are apprehended. Well, at least it used to be. Now, with sanctuary cities in place, it's not deportation. It's allow them to stay in the United States indefinitely. And even with those policies, Joe Biden still deported more than Donald Trump did by far. So, no. So he can use ICE, which must be built back up to handle the millions of illegals. No, you would use the state and local government. The states are responsible for their illegal immigration as far as they can create policy from a federal level, but the states are responsible for their borders. The states are responsible for deportation. The federal government should assist. ICE absolutely plays a part in that, but it starts first with securing the border and ensuring that the people that we're sending back over the border can't get back in, and that we stem the flow of illegal immigration. Once that's addressed, then you must start going to the sanctuary city rules, and you must have the governors and the states agree that they will remove sanctuary city protections against illegals. Once they do that, then the states are required to assist the federal government in finding, locating, and deporting these criminals out of the United States. So there's a whole bunch of ifs there. But what Donald Trump can do without the state's permission is secure the border. And what he could do is hold funding from those states as far as any type of federal aid that they receive for roadways and bridges, or for schools, or for infrastructure, or anything else. That's not necessarily the way you want to do it. The last thing you want to do is take 13 or 14 states and have them ultimately, cut them off from federal protection. It's not going to create many friends. But you do understand is that a lot of these places who support sanctuary cities are doing so not because it's the right thing to do, not because it's the best thing to do for their constituencies and for their cities. They're doing it because they're being told to do it. They're doing it because they're demanded by the Democratic Party to do it. And if there is an administration in place who will support them, and ensure that they're protected, that their state is going to receive the funding that they need, and that the backlash that will ensue from this, that they'll have federal support. Most states probably will do it, including New York. I know Virginia would, because you have governors in place who, or mayors who are fed up, who are done. So you have to fight the good fight. And then once you establish that and you clean up the cities that are willing to work with this administration, then you have to start working on the ones that don't. And you have to weigh the good and the bad, California being one of them. California, who will never relent to what the federal government wants. They believe illegals should have unfettered access just as right as American citizens. And the moment they cross that border, legally, illegally, whatever it would be, they are to be protected. And it helps California grow. It helps California's economy, according to them. They believe that the distribution of taxes of its American citizens going to illegals is okay. You're going to have a big nut to crack with California. So you got to take the states that will support that and will put their state first. And then the ones that don't, you have to make trading in illegal immigrants expensive. And these decisions have consequences. And if you want federal government support, you have to follow federal law. And if you break federal law, then you're out of contract with the relationship that the federal government and the states share. I'm all for the 10th Amendment. I'm all for states' rights. But if you have a federal law that's been codified by the states, you must be in compliance with that. And if you're not, then you shouldn't receive federal dollars. You shouldn't receive federal aid. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Just a few short years later, it seems like.
What about sanctuary cities? Is that where ICE goes? No, ICE can't work in sanctuary cities. ICE can't use information, and they're being stonewalled by the police. So ICE has a certain set of rules that they have to identify illegal immigrants. They have to follow a certain set of prerequisites to do that. But the city and state is responsible for arresting. And ICE can go ahead and make recommendations and find out where these people are at, but the state and city governments aren't working with them in sanctuary cities. They're notifying illegal immigrants ahead of time before these raids. When they set up traps, they notify the illegal immigrant community of what's happening. I mean, this is the worst case in the sanctuary cities. So there's an effort from the state government and the cities to work against the federal government. This puts them out of compliance with federal mandates, and they should not receive any federal funding for any of those things while they're out of compliance with federal law. But this is where we've grown to be pussies, and the federal government is terrified of losing voters. So they just let it happen. This has to stop. And this is why I'm excited about a Trump presidency, is because he can't have re-election. He's going to take out the stops. He is going to do the things that are unpopular that the GOP doesn't have the balls to do. So let's get through this press conference. I got to write some articles.
Have dried up. The support's no longer there. We had an expansion plan about 6 years ago that we had to pause because we have to wait for our customers now to catch up with the inflation, the supply chain issues still, because we as a small business, we can't double our price points, although the cost of doing business now is 2, 3, or 4 times what it was just a few years ago. So we've had to get creative. Our industry, probably 30% in the dry cleaning industry, never survived COVID. And just recently this summer, I was contacted, my wife and I, by another local dry cleaner here in West Palm. They were asking advice. So husband and wife been there for about 35 years. Their lease was up, and the landlord was doubling their rent, which would have meant that that's what they've been paying themselves.
Yeah, I listen. I agree. Small businesses are being raked over the coals, especially since COVID, and they are being taxed because of inflation, and small businesses are hurting. Dry cleaners, I don't give a shit. Fuck you guys. You guys were ridiculous. To press my pants $4, to starch a shirt $6. You guys have been raping people for a long time, so your gross margins were ridiculous. Give me a break. I understand leasing the equipment is expensive and buying the equipment's expensive, but that's a part of business. And once those are paid off, your cost is for chemicals and labor. Dry cleaners are a complete ripoff. In my eyes, they're like Starbucks coffee. So I don't feel a lot of empathy and sympathy for them. I'm sorry.
20 years, so they had to make a decision. Do they hand the keys back?
And this is a guy that did $225 in dry cleaning every 2 weeks. So I understand. You know, I was on a plane 6 a.m. and I wouldn't be back in the hotel at 11 o'clock. I sometimes would have to change shirts and suits twice a day. So I would have an immense dry cleaning bill. And to do a suit with a shirt and a pair of trousers, you put all of that together and you're talking $12, $15 per suit. You times that times 5, sometimes 10 a week. You can do the math. It's expensive. My dry cleaning bills were ridiculous. And don't tell me it takes $12 to press one of those suits. Just all I'm looking for is a dry cleaner that is modest in its pricing. And the problem is that you do have other dry cleaners, smaller shops that are charging, $2 for a shirt, $3 for a pair of trousers, and $6 for a suit. Don't tell me it can't be done. A lot of it is aggressive modeling, and you want to increase your business, so you buy a lot of systems and a lot of machinery to do so, and you pass that on to the customer. But you never give them a break after that stuff's paid off, and that's the rub.
20 years, so they had to make a decision. Do they hand the keys back, or do we get creative, work together, pool resources? And so what we did was we figured out the right price point for them, but we did their cleaning for them, at least until we figured it out. And so they were not able to pay their op.
You should not let that mom stand up on the back of the stage. Somebody should get her a chair. Someone should offer to sit her down. She's staring off into nothingness because that woman has lost her soul. She's lost a child, and that pisses me off. Don't make her stand up there. She's had her moment. Go sit her down. Somebody come up and escort her to a chair. Let her sit down. Just having her stand up there is just, in my opinion, not the best.
This by strategically partnering, and by the end of summer, I think I was contacted by about 12 other local dry cleaners saying, can you guys help us also, because we're going through the same thing. Thank you.
What's going on, Thomas?
And it seems now, so the delta between the reality of
devastating of the China virus,
to share my Go Green Dry
of the China virus, and we helped a lot of people, and we did it intelligently. Then when they took over, they just threw money around like it was dirt. And as you know, the recent monster hurricane Helene just wiped out so much. If you look at the different states, North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, it was just devastating. And the response was the worst since Katrina, but really a lot of people think it was much worse than Katrina. It's still, they haven't shown up. They're not in North Carolina. The people of North Carolina have suffered incredibly, and there's just nobody to help them. FEMA has been a total disaster. We had FEMA that was fantastic when we did this, because we had our hurricanes too. We had some bad ones, but we did a great job with it. It's not there. And then you see that they, originally blamed, and then they tried to take it back, but it was a little late. But they said that the money was spent on bringing illegal migrants into our country. They spent close to $1 billion, and these were funds that were spent. And you have to say, I was in North Carolina recently, and I looked at devastation that was just, it was just unbelievable. There was nobody there from the federal government. The local people have done incredible things. Franklin Graham has done incredible things. He's been amazing. But there was nobody there. So we're pleased also to be joined by Christy Shamblin, person I know and I've gotten to know over the last year or so, the mother-in-law of fallen Marine Corps Sergeant Nicole G. Nicole made the ultimate sacrifice during the disastrous withdrawal. Not that we were withdrawing. I was going to withdraw, but we were withdrawing with dignity and strength and power, and we were going to keep Bagram, the big air base, because of the fact that it was so close to where China makes their nuclear weapons. 1 hour away. We should have kept it, and we didn't do that. But But the way they withdrew, they took the soldiers out first. No, you take the soldiers out last. I went 18 months without one soldier. I spoke to Abdul, the leader of the Taliban. We went 18 months without one soldier even being shot at, no soldier being killed for 18 months. Then we left, and you had this group of incompetent people take over. Guys like Milley should have been fired. They should have been fired. Anybody that was involved with that disaster should have been fired. She was one of 13 U.S. service members who lost their lives. Kamala said she was the last person in the room, that Kamala was the last person in the room. She was involved in everything. She takes credit for that. She was involved.
Folks, just FYI, thedumshow.com/donate is where you can help out the show. If you like the show, enjoy the show, you like to see updates like this and get kind of tired of the legacy media and you want some spin that's not a bunch of lies. You want to be able to talk to people like Lee Houston, who just came on, and communicate with a bunch of people who are like-minded like yourself, or some that disagree. You can go to thedumshow.com/donate, help keep us free. Facebook has decided to go ahead and demonetize pretty much every dollar that we make. This time last year, we were doing very, very well, making a very good living. And we're expanding the company, and they decided to stop doing it. So we had to revitalize and recreate ourselves, find sources of income through Wimkin and other companies who care about free speech, and unlike Facebook. And then also your donations help keep us alive. We've hit our goal 18 days in a row, 6 months overall, just for the month, 18 days in a row, which is amazing. We usually do about 22 shows a month, but now that we're doing the AM and PM, we're doing 2 a day. So we appreciate if you could help us. It's very expensive to put these on. It's not free. It's not just going on and using your phone. You've got to have equipment, you've got to have software, and you got to have bandwidth to do that. We put out over 30 terabytes of content every single month. That is not what Comcast likes to hear, so they charge us and slap us with big penalties to give us our broadband. We're asking for some help from you. TheDumbShow.com/donate. You can use several different platforms: PayPal, Venmo, or also by mail. Take a look. Make sure you take care of yourself first. We don't want you to give till it hurts. We want you to give till it feels good. Here is the rest of Donald Trump's speech. Thank you.
She was involved in everything. That means she was involved in disaster after disaster, because nothing good has happened with this administration, except that our country has gone to almost a third world status. With Biden, when Biden made a decision, she said she was there. Oh, she was there. But the Afghanistan decision was a disaster in so many different ways. And now you take a look at it, they're right back to what they were doing before, except much worse.
Wimkin only gets, it's an evening platform. You don't always get the daytime interactions. I don't know what to tell you. It's low everywhere. Nobody knows I'm going to be on at 10 o'clock. I mean, we have 74 in the entire network, plus Wimkin and Rumble, which we can't see, which is probably going to have some decent numbers. But this is the day 2 of me coming on at 10 o'clock. So until I announce it, I'm testing it out. I'm trying to find the time of what is the best time to come on. And honestly, it's probably between like 11 and 1. And that's probably where we're going to be. But anyway, it doesn't surprise me. Wimkin's slow right now.
It's much worse to win.
Facebook's reasons for demonetizing, nothing. I've got my standing here. I've shown this many times before. I'm green. I'm recommended. My page is recommended. I'm a top performer. I'm a rising creator on Reels. We have millions of interactions a month. There's no reason to demonetize me, except that I'm a conservative, and they have stopped showing ads on my live. Nobody, not one person here has seen an ad on Facebook. They've stopped distributing my long-form videos. My long-forms used to get 60, 70,000 views. Now I'm lucky if I get 800, 900. There is no reason. They don't take care of conservative channels. They don't want our business, and they're trying to force us out and leave. And it's going to be successful because we're very much considering leaving Facebook. So
it's much worse to women. They're worse to women right now than they were even before it started. But Kamala never reached out to the family members of the warriors. And she said she was going to, but she never did. She never called anybody. And Christy, I'd like you to come up and say a few words, please.
Hi, Good afternoon. Good morning. My name is Christy Shamblin, and my daughter-in-law was Sergeant Nicole Leanne G., and she was killed in the botched Afghanistan exit at Abbey Gate. She was the cornerstone of a very large family. And instead of planning family gatherings and holiday meals and Christmases and baby showers, our family and thousands of other families plan outings at funeral grave sites. And that is where we as a family celebrate my daughter-in-law.
I don't like pausing in the middle of this, but thank you, Janet, very, very much for your donation.
Terry, because she is in the ground. Her story isn't unique to our family. She's just ours. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of wounded veterans who came home from that war, who need our help and who are ignored by our current administration. President Trump demonstrates peace through strength. I know what he told the Taliban when he was negotiating with them because I've made it my business to know. And what he said to them when he was negotiating with the Taliban, he said, "I will kill you if you harm one hair on one head of an American." President Trump shows up, he reaches out, and he can fix our country, and we can all heal together.
I don't like talking when the parents are talking, and unfortunately it doesn't always work out that way. So I apologize about the donation pop-up. It wasn't the right time. Evelyn asked me a question. She said, do you pay, does it cost you money to be on Facebook? Well, it costs me money in the long term because I advertise on Facebook. It's my one platform I advertise on because it was producing so much revenue. The only reason I'm advertising on Facebook now is to hit 200,000, which we're almost there. We're down to 110 people. 110 people that hit 200,000. Then I'm going to give it till we get to about 200 because they take away some each day. That's what they do. I'm going to get a buffer, and then I'm done. And so I put $300 a month into Facebook advertising. There was a time where I was investing almost $1,500 to $2,000 a month in advertising, but I was also making $15,000 on Facebook. I'm down to 300 because I have to get my videos seen and I have to keep my likes up because even though it produces no revenue, it drives people to the show. And that's what we have to do. But no, they've done everything they can to break this channel, and they do it to all conservatives. There's your answer to that. Thanks for asking.
Thank you very much. It's so sad. So many cases like this. Nobody should have died. First of all, when they left, the soldiers should have been there. They shouldn't have been home watching, except for a small group, and many of them got killed, and large numbers. Nobody ever mentions the arms, the legs missing, gone, the face just obliterated. Nobody talks about them. I talk about them all the time. But I want to thank you, Christy, and we'll carry Nicole's memory in our hearts forever. The full consequences of Kamala's 4-year reign are almost too terrible to discuss or contemplate. We're coming to the end of a great campaign. I think we've had a great campaign. We've really not been provided the kind of protection that I needed as president, but I said we have to do it anyway. When Secret Service would ask for additional people, oftentimes we would be turned down. They were constantly asking for additional people. And I found Secret Service to be very brave. When I was hit and went down, they were right on top of me within seconds. I tell you what, those bullets were flying right over my head. I heard them. And these guys were right. I don't know how they didn't get hit, actually, but they were right there. You take a look at the video. One thing we would say, the video is there for people to see, but
yeah, the one thing I ask of everybody is I ask everyone to be understanding and patient when I am not at my best or I don't provide you what you're looking for. And that could be I say something you don't like. maybe I'm having a bad day and I'm short or I snap or whatever. I ask people to be understanding. The second thing I ask is for them to never apologize that they can't donate. This is, I'm sorry, allergies. I asked that people donate when they can. That's why it's called a donation. It's a gift. It's you recognize that you're watching something that is fulfilling a requirement that you need. And it doesn't matter whether it's just camaraderie or the truth, or maybe you just want to, stare at my lovely beard. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I provide a commodity that is worth something, and you decide to go ahead and say, hey, this is what it's worth to me. Just because you don't donate doesn't mean that you find it worthless. It means that you're in a situation that the way I provide many different valuable things to people, or some less valuable than others, you have many different ways to contribute to the show other than money. You can like, you can follow, you can go pick up a t-shirt. Maybe you just say a nice word. Maybe you communicate with friends and family to watch the show, whatever it would be. As I have different avenues and mediums to communicate, you have different avenues and mediums to contribute. So money never needs to be apologized for. I'm not in it for that. There's a certain number that we have to hit. These shows range depending upon price, depending upon bandwidth and how long they are. Like election night. Election night's going to cost me close to like $750 to $1,000 to put on, because we will be on 8 hours, and that 8 hours is like making a phone call long distance. I've got to pay for the streaming service. I've got to pay for the interviews. I get 10 hours of interview time, but now you times that by Olivia, you times that by Leroy, you times that by Amy, and you times that by me. That's $25 for every 10 hours. Well, we blow through that almost in 1 hour. So then you've got the overall bandwidth. An average hour streaming information, you're talking 100 plus gigs of data. I stream in 4K. I want people able to watch this on a giant TV or watch it on a small phone. So all this cost, the lights, the electricity, if you guys could see my electric bill, it's freaking crazy. I'm running right now 16 different lights in here. I've got 4 monitors, 4 computers, 3 cameras, speaker systems, Wi-Fi. It's a lot. So all of this just adds up, and it gets to be expensive. Don't feel woe is me. The point is that's why we ask for donations every show. So we pay for the show, and then we put a little bit in our pocket so we can survive. Pretty simple. That's it. But don't ever apologize. You don't need to. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Help that they requested, because our rallies were massively large and they needed more people, and they were always fighting for more people, and it was never given to them. Now they're being given, I hope, what they need, but we were, that was a constant fight. They'd come to me and they'd say, these guys don't want to give us the people. And yet Biden was covered, and they'd have like 2 people show up. But Kamala is grossly incompetent, a total train wreck who has destroyed everything in her path. She's destroyed everything. She left 21 million aliens pour across our country, and then she, maybe in a short while, has to go home, and she'll get herself a job someplace, who knows. But think about it, and she can look at the carnage, and she can look at all the people that have been killed, and you haven't seen anything yet, because they've just started.
You guys, you don't need to tell me. Darla, I love that, but you guys, you have to understand. It's like, okay, so your mom cooks you dinner, and you're like, thank you, Mom. Thanks for cooking. And she's like, no problem. It's what I do. But thank you for thanking me, right? That's fine to do that. But it would be like if you go to your mom and you say, I wish I could have helped you raise me. It's like, I'm not putting it right, but there's no reason to say that, right? Because you couldn't have. When people say, I wish I could donate more, you don't need to do that, because you can't, and I don't want you to, right? I don't want people giving me the money that they don't have. I don't want people giving me the money that they do have. I want people to appreciate the show and take something away from it, and then say, well, instead of me going to the movies and spending $50, I watched the DUM show for 3 hours, and I'd rather give that money to the DUM show. That's what I want. I want it to be a transaction. I don't want emotional, because then people give and they can't afford it, and then that bothers me. Like, I worry about that. I really do. I worry when people give and they can't afford it. So there's some people who give, and I'll send them a private message to say, you need to stop. Like, I've told Bobby Richardson, I'm like, Bobby, are you sure? Are you? And she's like, I've got it. Don't worry about me. And I'm like, okay, but I worry. And when Mel does it, or Kevin does every single day, or Thomas comes in here, I mean, and everybody gives. I mean, it's an ungodly amount of people who give. Victoria Robinson gives. I can't even mention all the people. I mean, I can just play this, and I just, it's insane, you know? So, and when someone can't afford it, you don't need to worry about that, because that's the way it is. I mean, just today alone, Janet, Thomas, Bobby, Christine, Matt, Jeff last night came in. You got Frank. There's Kevin again. Bobby popping in once again. I mean, and it's just, Stacy has every time, like even after the show, she's watching it live and it's recorded and she gives money. Jennifer, Amy gave $5. She's the mod. She's with us. Matt comes in. Brian comes in. Joseph comes in. Joanne comes in. I mean, I could sit here for days and just tell you how many donations we've got in 6 months. It's over 700 different people. So if you can't, don't worry. Somebody can. You never need to apologize. It's not a position that you're in, and that's okay. You can give in different ways. Like I said, like the show, follow, tell your friends about it, bring a friend on it, contribute, leave a comment, whatever it is, there's plenty of ways to contribute. So I appreciate you apologizing, but honestly, you're doing exactly what I want you to do, which is take care of you. This show will take care of itself. I hope that helps.
You haven't seen anything yet, because they've just started. They're just getting comfortable in our country. These are very tough people. These criminals make our criminals look like nice people. And she let the more than 13,000 convicted illegal aliens, nobody would have let these people into our country. And remember, they came out of the worst prisons in the world, the meanest, nastiest prisons in the world. And when she says that she wouldn't do anything different, does that mean that she would have let 325,000 migrant children probably die, most of them, many of them, but at a minimum, they're slaves or they're sex slaves, and they're all over the country? Does that mean that she wouldn't have changed that? Does that mean that she wouldn't have changed so many of the other things that led to so much death and destruction, and even financial destruction of our country itself? We could end up in a depression because of what she's left with us. They are the worst combination president, vice president in the history of our country. And I often say Jimmy Carter's a happy man because his administration, by comparison, was totally brilliant. It was brilliant. After Kamala endorsed defunding the police, she bailed out rioters, looters, and murderers, took them right out of jail during the violent crimes in the United States. Remember, that was in Minnesota. Minneapolis was burning down. It was burning to the ground. I watched the CNN announcer say, this is a friendly group of people. And over his shoulder, the entire skyline was burning. I've never seen it, but that's the fake news. But violent crime in the United States is up 37%. All of these different crimes are up anywhere from 37 to 105% over a very short period of time. And it's almost like nobody even cares about it. Very simply, Kamala Harris is not fit to be your president. We can't have it happen. We can't have it happen. We're going to make this country strong again. We're going to make it great again. We're going to be respected again. Her message has been a message of hate and division, and my message is about saving our economy, securing our border, bringing together the greatest and broadest coalition in American history. There's never been a coalition like this. Everybody's included. And on issue after issue, she broke it. They broke it together. But for purposes of this election, she broke it. Can't let her go. And I'm going to fix it. And I'm going to fix it very fast. And on the illegal, thank you very much. Thank you very much. On the illegal,
what's going on, Jen? Welcome
back. We'll
back.
be taken out of the country, as you know. We're going to be taking them out, and if they come back, we have laws that will be immediately enacted where they serve 10 years in prison. They won't come back, and if that's not long enough, we'll have to do something else. But we don't want them back. They're not going to come back. And as you know, we're asking for the death penalty for any migrant who comes into our country and kills an American citizen or a police or law enforcement person. Because we have to protect our police. Our police are under siege also at numbers that nobody thought were possible, the worst they've ever seen. It's very hard to recruit. And really for not just the danger, it's hard to recruit because they don't have the spirit anymore for our country because they're being led with people that are spiritless. They really are spiritless. They can't instill spirit. But so that's any citizen, they get killed, it's a death penalty, and that includes police or law enforcement officers. But we're going to revive our economy. We're going to use a system of very fair, very reasonable tariffs. As I said, so powerful. We've never used them. I used them. China paid us hundreds of billions of dollars, and no other president's gotten 10 cents from China. China had a free ride, but so did many other countries. European Union is taking advantage of us. They don't take our product, and yet we take their product all over the place. We take their farming product. We take their cars left and right? BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, millions and millions. They don't take our cars. I said to Angela Merkel at the time, Angela, how many Chevrolets do we have in Berlin? Why? I don't believe you have any. I said, you're right about that, Angela. Well, we're going to change it. But they don't take our product. We have a deficit with them of over $300 billion. Think of that. And people think of them as friendly, but they're very tough and very fair. I mean, look, they united in order to take advantage of the United States. That's why they united. That's why they formed their coalition. And that was done to take advantage of the United States. So we know how to take advantage of them. We're going to take it back. We're going to take it all back. Those countries, many of those companies will be coming back. They'll be coming back because when they're told that they're going to have to pay a 25% tariff or 50% or 100%.
Hey, Santana, it's Matt.
We saved our steel industry when I imposed large tariffs on China steel coming in. They were dumping steel here by millions and millions and millions of yards of steel like nobody's ever seen. Our steel businesses were going out of business. We can't lose our steel industry. If for no other reason, our own security. We need steel. If we'd go to war, we're not going to go to war. We're not going to have World War III. But if we ever go to war, you better hope that we have a steel industry, or those beautiful tanks and everything else that we need to make won't be made. The planes, the tanks, the whole thing. And I saved it by imposing tariffs. They were dumping it. I think they were dumping it in order to destroy. Every steel plant would have been closed if I didn't do what I did. And we happen to be taking in, billions of dollars. In fact, it's so good that Biden has been trying his best to end it, but he's unable to do it. Too much money. It's been too much money. They're paying a fortune. But I would have had it a lot different. And we'll get along with China. We'll get along with Russia. We'll get along with everybody. We had the fake Russia hoax, which took 2 years. And then they came.
Yeah, Christine, we addressed it on Monday night and Friday night in regards to Korea. Take a listen to Leroy and I right around the end, the last 30 minutes or so. You should see that we answered that. Yep.
Legal. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. On the illegal immigrants with China, we'll get along with Russia. We'll get along with everybody. We had the fake Russia hoax, which took 2 years. And then they came out with a report that we did absolutely nothing wrong. And that was a stacked deck, too. The people doing it, they couldn't say there was nothing. We had nothing. They checked millions of phone calls, not one call made to Russia, not one call. It was a terrible thing they did to the country and actually put us in a lot of danger, to be honest with you. If I didn't have somewhat of a relationship with Russia and Putin and all, we had to have it. And by the way, getting along with President Xi and Putin and Kim Jong-un of North Korea. If you remember when I met with Obama, his wife was very nasty to me the other day. Oh, that was not nice. She was very nasty. She said nasty things. I was always very respectful of her, but she got up there, which shows you how nervous they are about what's happening. But she was nasty 2 days ago. She got up and said some bad things she shouldn't have said. They were wrong, too. But we're going to turn our country around, and we're going to pay a lot of respect to the three representatives, because that's what they are. They're representatives of millions of people. I mean, the businesses, so many businesses are just dying right now. There are millions and millions of people. They're representative of, and our wounded and our hurt soldiers. We have to take care of them. They came back from Afghanistan. Boy, nobody talks about them. They just don't talk about them, but I talk about them, and we're going to take care of them. You know, we had the greatest days left, the criminal gangs and drug cartels.
For unlimited talk and text with the
Nazi in 19...
say he cannot.
For the next 7 days, and then voters, we want to have great elections. We want to have fairness. We don't do things like, we're not going to have men playing in women's sports. I mean, that's okay. So we're the party of common sense, and we're the party of fairness, and we have a coalition. Nobody's ever seen anything like, I don't think anybody has ever seen anything. In 1939, the Nazis, many times, many people have, well, and you know what? But can you imagine it? 1939, the Nazis, they were. But how terrible to say, right? Because, you know, they've used Madison Square Garden many times. Many people have used it, but nobody's ever had a crowd like that. And I tell you what, right now, nobody's ever had love like that. That was love in the room, and it was love for our country. It was really love for our country. So we're going to fight like hell for the next 7 days, and then hopefully...
No problem, Lee.
And then hopefully, and most importantly, we're going to be fighting even harder for the next 4 years, because we're going to turn this around and we're going to make this country greater than it has ever been. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Whoa. Don't play that. Don't play that.
So you heard there, this is Mar-a-Lago, the home of the former president, Donald Trump, and you heard there that...
No, I'm skipping it because sometimes when you record, it replays like when you pause. So it went back. So we got 99.9% of it. He was repeating himself because of the pause. So I just basically went to the end. We've been on for 2 hours and 46 minutes. I can't do 3 hour shows because then I got 2 hours at night. It's just too much. But here we go. Let's finish the rest of this.
That he was going to give a statement, have a few guests. That's exactly what he did. He was very honed in on important issues that voters say that they've identified as the most important in their lives right now. At the very beginning, you heard the former president talk about a stolen election. And while he may feel a certain way, the facts remain Joe Biden was declared the winner with 51% of the vote. States certified those results of the 2020 election, and Congress accepted those results. Now the nation is moving toward November 5th, with tens of millions of people already voting, setting voting records, early voting records, in places like Battleground, Georgia. And he spoke for nearly an hour about, again, the issues, compelling with video, with guests, about the border, the economy, and so much more. Welcome to Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner, here with my co-hosts Emily Campagno and Kayleigh McEnany. Also joining us today, Kennedy, host of the Kennedy Saves the World podcast, and she often saves us. Bill Hemmer, co-anchor of America's Newsroom. Great to have everybody here. Bill, I'll start with you. So,
nice job, Amy.
The ramp up to this started during your program, and we started to get some details on when Kamala Harris would speak perhaps about January 6th from the ellipse outside the White House, and that's this evening. And this was billed as kind of a pre-buttal. What did you hear?
Yeah, heard a lot of things, as we typically do. Harris is going to speak tonight around 7:30 Eastern, we believe. And she's going to call him unfit. And she's going to say he cannot stand in front of the seal of the presidency of the United States ever.
Yeah, okay. We've heard it all before. Folks, thanks for watching. We'll be back tonight, 7 o'clock. We will have KAMALA. And so we can go ahead and debunk a lot of her lies. And it's not that everything that Donald Trump said was true on that, and you can expect that from most candidates, a perception that is favorable to them. But there's a very big difference between that and making shit up. And entire premise of Kamala Harris tonight will be that Donald Trump is a Nazi, Adolf Hitler, fascist, and there is nothing that even resembles any truth to that bullshit claim. If your entire platform is predicated upon that your person who's opposing you is a fascist, dictator, Nazi, Hitler, then you're devalidating the process you're taking part in. Because a true republic and a elective representative democracy is not going to support a fascist, Nazi, dictator, Hitler-like Nazi. So your entire argument, either you're saying that the entire process of this election is a farce, or what you're saying is a lie. Because the process of a republic and a elective representative democracy in an election would never house a fascist, Nazi, dictator, Hitler, whatever. So everything she says tonight is fine. It'll have its own spin and its own take, but her entire premise will be a lie. So I want you to think of that when we listen to her tonight at 7 o'clock. Interesting. Thanks for watching the Donut Friendly Show. Thanks for those who helped donate to the show. It means a great deal. We'll be back on at 7 o'clock. We'll have a busy one tonight. It'll be just me. I'll be covering KAMALA. We'll do what we did. We are really close, folks. We are 108 people away from 200,000. I want to hit that. So let's get that going. Let's share. Let's like, subscribe. Only 73 likes. That doesn't help. We got to get it up. We've had quite a few people on. So if you did not like the show, not just like it inside on your phone, but you go to the Facebook page of the Don't Unfriend Me at the Dumb Show and hit the like button on Rumble, on YouTube, on Twitter, wherever you're at, hit that like button. Please help us out. We'll see you at 7 o'clock. God bless, and thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. See you tonight, y'all.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.